Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto able to summon Phoenix. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by AZAD439 and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1, Phoenix Sannin, Thoughts, Demon Inner Self, Demon Thoughts, Disclaimer. I do not own Naruto or get any profit from writing this story. I do this for my own purpose of having fun. AN. This is the edited version of the story. Some of you thought that I changed the whole chapter, but I didn't. You'll know after you read it. As for chapter 10, I am sorry to say that my beta's best friend got shot on Valentine's Day in you, so he won't be able to do it. Sorry everyone. It will take some time. 3 years ago, a demon fox with 9 tails appeared. When a tail was swung, it would destroy a mountain and cause a tsunami. To counter it, the people gathered ninjas. One ninja sealed the monster in a life-or-death battle and died himself to ensure his village's survival. That ninja was known as the Yondaime Hokage, and with his death, he sealed the powers of the Nina-tailed demon fox into the body of a young boy. This young boy's name is Uzumaki Naruto. Most people in the village dislike him and consider him a pest, or worse, the Kyuubi incarnate. He's ignored because people for the most part think he is the actual demon fox. The only people who actually see him as him and not the demon itself or even just the container of the demon are the Hokage. Most of clan heads of Konoha either sympathize or are indifferent, and a simple ramen chef named Tuchi and his daughter Ayam. Sadly, on October 10th, Naruto would get beaten half to death by mobs of civilian and shinobi alike, even with the Anbu shadowing him. The day just happens to be that day. Naruto was running through the street of Konoha as fast as his legs would carry him, which sadly was not fast enough considering there was a mob right behind and was gaining on him fast. Finally, when he could run no longer, his legs gave out and he fell right in the middle of the street. "Please," he cried out. "What did I ever do to you to deserve this?" he asked the crowd in front of him. He honestly didn't know why he would always be beaten and glared at whenever someone saw him. "What you did? You don't fucking remember killing all those innocent people, demon," one Chunin said. "We'll show you the pain you've caused all those people," he shouted in a voice filled to the brim with malice. Thus the painful beating began. This went for almost 10 minutes until an Anbu with dog mask appeared in front of the bloody heap that was once a young smiling boy and released a huge amount of killer intent that made the crowds gasp for breath. "You're all under arrest," he said as he summoned a dozen cage bushins to take them all in. At first they appeared to want to fight, but the killing intent stopped those ideas. Even the couple Chunin in the crowd knew fighting against an Anbu, even if they were just clones, was of no help. The crowd was quickly round up and the area cleared as the Anbu went to check on Naruto and found him unconscious, clinging to life as if by a thread. He made note of the injuries, which were a few cuts on his body, a large gash on his chest reaching and gouging into his ribs, and bruises on his face along with a broken jaw. The dog Anbu decided to take Naruto to the hospital immediately while sending another cage bushin to inform the Hokage in case the hospital staff wasn't feeling like cooperating. The next day Naruto woke up to see a white ceiling. Not knowing where he is, he quickly and yet very cautiously looked around the room and saw the Hokage was coming through the door. "Ah, you're awake now, Naruto-kun. How are you feeling?" asked the old cage. "Like I've been run over by something, Oji-san," said Naruto in an emotionless tone. "Can I ask you something, Oji-san?" "What is it, Naruto-kun?" asked the Hokage, knowing what was coming. "Well, when I was being beaten," started Naruto, making the Hokage wince at the emotionless tone as much as the word used. "One of the persons said that I killed a lot of people and everyone called me a demon." "Why is that?" finished the young blonde, his tone changing into one of slight irritation. The Hokage was baffled by the question for a minute but knew he would have to answer the question someday, but now was not the time, so he skated around the issue and said, "You didn't kill anyone and you are not a demon. The people in Konoha are narrow-minded and bigots when it comes to certain issues. As for the reason they think you are a demon, I'm afraid I can't tell you right now, but I will tell you when you turn 12 or when you're a strong enough ninja. How about that, Naruto-kun?" "Okay, Oji-san. Oh yeah, can I join the academy to become a ninja just like you?" said Naruto in a hopeful tone. "You are not old enough to join the ninja academy, but how about I make you a deal? I will take you as an apprentice and teach you how to defend yourself, and you also don't have to go to the academy if you don't want to," said the old cage as he formed a plan to stick it to those bigoted villagers. "Really, Oji-san?" shouted Naruto happily. "Hi," said the Sandaime as he braced himself for the inevitable. Naruto jumped from the bed, gave the Hokage a big hug, causing him to chuckle at his enthusiasm. "Alright Naruto, you are free to leave the hospital once the proper papers are filled out, and we'll also start the training 1 week from now, so be prepared. Oh, and you're also going to be moving into my compound, so I help you to reach your full potential," said Sarutobi with a true smile while opening the door. "Thanks, Oji-san," shouted an enthusiastic young blonde. "You're welcome and remember 1 week," said the Hokage with a warm smile while leaving the room. A week later Naruto was standing in front of the Hokage on his private training field behind the Hokage monument. The blonde was now wearing black t-shirt and a black pants with orange stripe on the side, along with black fingerless glove. Naruto was wearing this because Hokage had told him that orange wasn't a color that a good ninja would wear. "Okay Naruto, for the next 8 years I will teach ninjutsu and taijutsu, and maybe some jinjutsu. I want to make you strong enough to be able to stand toe-to-toe with at least one of the stronger ninja of this village," started Sarutobi before continuing after making sure his young charge was paying attention. "I also want you to specialize in ninjutsu, fuinjutsu, and also kinjutsu. The reasoning behind my decision is that there are not many ninja in our village that are specialized in ninjutsu, fuinjutsu or kinjutsu, and none that specialize in all three. I also have something very special planned for you after our training finishes, so I want you to work as hard as you can. Do we have a deal Naruto-kun?" said Sarutobi with a smirk once he saw Naruto's awestruck expression. "Deal, Oji-san," said the energetic blonde known as Naruto with a salute. To be continued. Chapter 2. 8 years later, the figure is now standing in front of the Hokage who seems to be about 5'3" inches tall. He had vibrant blue eyes and blonde hair, along with 3 whisker-like marks on his face. His face would be considered cute from a girl's perspective. The figure had anbu-like clothes and the side of his right leg. He had a hostler that is used for carrying kunai, along with a holster on his left leg for a decent-sized scroll, also an average-sized pouch for shuriken, and other ninja essentials on the back of his belt. "Alright Naruto, since your ninja training is now finished, I want you to become a full-pledged ninja for the Leaf," said the Hokage with a sense of pride in his unofficial grandson and greatest pupil to date. "But sensei, don't I have to go to the academy to be a ninja?" asked Naruto slightly confused. "Do you really want to go to the academy Naruto-kun?" asked Sarutobi before answering his own question. "Well, even if you do want to go to the academy I can't send you there because you would be too powerful for an academy student and I don't want to waste your potential learning how to do a bushin, kawarimi, and henge in the academy till you're 15. Finished the old cage. "Okay then, so how do you suppose I become a ninja?" questioned the young blonde lazily as he yawned out loud. "Well, there are special circumstances, but I don't want to waste time by explaining all that stuff. The point is that you could skip ranks by a special test that I want you to take," said the Hokage with a sly smirk. "Is this the special plan you told me about in the beginning of my training?" asked Naruto with genuine curiosity. Flashback. "Okay Naruto, for the next 8 years I will be teaching you ninjutsu, taijutsu, and maybe some jinjutsu," started Konoha's professor before continuing. "I want to make you strong enough to be able to stand toe-to-toe with one of the stronger ninja in this village. I also want you to specialize in ninjutsu, fuinjutsu and also kinjutsu. There are not many ninja in our village that specialized any of these areas and none who specialize in all of them. Once the training is complete I'll have something special planned for you, so I want you to work as hard as you can. Do we have a deal Naruto-kun?" finished the Sandaime with a smile. Then flashback. "Hi, so do you want to take the test?" asked Sarutobi with a knowing smile since he knows his young apprentice would never back down from a challenge. "Well, I suppose if it makes me a ninja," said Naruto with barely contained excitement. "Alright, I want you to be at the Chunin exam stadium at 11 AM sharp 1 week from today. There will be every Chunin and Jounin not currently on a mission, the clan heads, and the council members in attendance to see my newest apprentice's skill. I want you to put on a show for them since they are going to be deciding if you are strong enough to achieve a high rank or if you'll be a genin," said the Hokage. "Okay, one thing though. How did you manage to make the council agree? Since I know you can't do something like this without the council agreeing, and I don't think that many if any of the council members really likes me," asked Naruto with a smirk, knowing his sensei did something sneaky. "Hahaha, what? Are you accusing me of doing something devious or underhanded?" questioned the old cage with a look too innocent to be innocent on his face. Flashback. In the council room several noticeable figures in the shinobi community could be seen, mainly the heads of the Hyuga clan, the Inyazuka clan, the Nara clan, the Akamichi clan, the Yamanaka clan, and the Aburam clan. Also in attendance were several elders and militaristic leaders Kaharu, Hamaru, Danzo, and of course the Hokage himself. The civilian half of the council were not allowed in the room for this meeting, since it had nothing to do with them, this was out of their league, meaning it was purely for the ninja community. "What is it you called us here for Hokage-sama?" said the Inyazuka head, calming her usual brash and outspoken personality to fit in with the tense atmosphere. "Yes, I have to get back to the compound since I have personal matters to take care of, so can we hurry this up?" said Hiashi in his usual cold tone though with a hint of annoyance. "I will get to it if you all will just settle down." This made everyone in the council listen carefully since the Hokage seemed to had a serious look on his face. "This meeting is concerning the one called Uzumaki Naruto," said the Hokage, stretching the name Uzumaki, causing many groans and sighs from the council, because no meeting about that boy is ever quick. Are you finally deciding to hand him over to my root so we can make Konoha a perfect weapon? Said a crippled man with one eye while giving a cruel smirk. No Danzo, I am not giving him to the root. I mean, why would I give him to you and hamper his growth? Due to the simple fact that there is nothing you could teach him because your root is weak. Each member is low Anbu and you keep them there on purpose in case you can't control them. The only upside to it is that they are loyal to you to a fault. This is also the reason I've allowed you to keep your pitiful organization because they are too weak to be anything more than an assassin just like you. Stated the Sandaime with a firm tone while he wore a smirk hidden in the shadow of his hat at the look of shock on the council's face and pure rage on Danzo's. No one expected the professor to say something like that to Danzo in private, let alone in front of the council. I know in the original Naruto story, Sandaime disbanded Root, but I decided to keep it. So for those of you who didn't know that, I wanted to inform you. Hi Hokage-sama, said Danzo through grinded teeth as he knew not to respond because everything the Hokage said was the truth and to respond would just make him look like a fool. So what is you wish to talk to us concerning Uzumaki? Said Koharu once the shock passed. Well, you all know that I've been training him for a long time now, so I want to test him to join ninja rank higher than Genin. Since to have him be a Genin would be extremely disadvantageous to Konoha, and before you even ask, I won't allow him to go the academy. He is too powerful for it and it would waste his time and potential. At his current strength, I believe he would be able to take me on and have a 50% chance of winning. That's why I want to give him a test to advance instead of going through all the ranks starting at the bottom. Stated the Sandaime with pride in his voice as there was a collective gasp from all those in the room. But Sarutobi, don't you think it's pretty dangerous to give such a young boy so much power? I mean, look what happened to Itachi. He killed his whole clan for power, well except his brother. Said Hamaru in a worried tone. I understand your concern, Hamaru, but I know Naruto and he doesn't want power for his own selfishness. He wants to be strong and protect everyone in Konoha when he grows up. He has the will of fire that some ninjas in our village seem to lack. At this point the Hokage gazed at his ex-teammates and the Warhawk Danzo before continuing. He is also my true protege and I believe in him. Finished the aging Kage with a smile. If that's your choice then I fully support it, Hokage-sama. Said Hiashi quickly. He wanted to get out of here as soon as possible. Never did like council meetings anyway. Thank you, Hiashi. Said the old Hokage, though he had a feeling it wasn't so much faith in his Kage that helped him with his decision or more like annoyance at having to be in another meeting revolving around Naruto. Well then, if that's settled, then when is the exam going to be? Said Koharu, slightly annoyed at the prospect of the young blonde being so strong. Then Sarutobi said, it will be held in the Chunin exam stadium in exactly 1 week from now. Then flashback, and you know Naruto, not everyone in the council hates you. Well, except Danzo, who had asked me to make you join root couples 100 times, so don't lose faith in Konoha yet. I mean, I know that they don't like you much, but someday they will come around and accept you. I know they will, after all you'll be their Hokage one day. Said Sarutobi with a playful edge in his old voice towards the end. I hope so, old man, and you know I could never be angry at someone who's done no true harm towards me or my precious people for too long, said Naruto smiling. I know, Naruto, and remember to be prepared in 1 week. Polish your skills in this week. Though don't go overboard on your training because you're going to need your strength with the opponent you're going to be fighting. Now get out since I have a lot of paperwork left to do. Said the Hokage with fear in his voice as he peered at the large stacks of paper that seemed to almost be taunting him. You know, Oji-sen, I know a way to defeat it, but I'll only tell you when you tell me why more than half of Konoha hates me. With that, Naruto shoo-shined out of the room. If he had waited a little longer he would have seen the sad face of the Hokage, who was at the moment staring at the picture of hero of Konoha, the Yondaime Hokage. A week later Naruto could be seen heading to the stadium wondering who his opponent was going to be and if the person was going to be a good challenge. For the past week he had worked twice as hard preparing for this day. He had spent 3 days on ninjutsu solely and 3 days for taijutsu. Then yesterday he took the day to rest his muscles since they were still sore from the harsh training. He didn't work on Fuinjutsu since it would really come in handy for an all-out fight. Naruto was so lost in his thoughts that he didn't seem to notice that he was already in the middle of the stadium. Though he was shaken out of his thoughts when someone tapped him on the shoulder. As he looked behind him and saw some guy who was chewing on senbon. I wonder if this is my opponent. Nah, he looks too weak. Even though Naruto wasn't the type to underestimate someone, he just couldn't help but do that with this guy. I wouldn't even need to go half power to beat him, he must be the proctor. Thought the young blonde. Then as he looked around the stadium and saw the Hokage in a booth with the council members and clan heads in a nearby booth. On the other section he could see all shinobi waiting patiently for the match to start. But one person caught Naruto's eye in particular. She had beautiful red eyes, brunette hair, and the most beautiful face he had ever seen. With her could be seen another woman who was also beautiful, but not as beautiful, the red-eye goddess. Also with them was silvered-haired man and Asuma Sarutobi. He then skimmed through more people and didn't seem to notice anyone he knew, so he turned to the proctor and said, "Are you my opponent, because I don't really see anyone else beside you here." While flaring a portion of his chakra, almost causing the proctor to fall to his knees at the unexpected pressure. Rather shakily the proctor said, no, I'm not your opponent, but he should be here any second." Just then everyone heard a girly scream and looked up to see a person falling from the sky and land right next to the proctor. After a minute of twitching the man stood up. He had white hair and had red tattoos under his eyes going down in straight line. Moments later he saw Naruto and said, "Suo, you're my opponent. I thought you'd be bigger from how Sarutobi-sensei kept bragging about you." Belaying Naruto. "If you are my opponent then where the hell were you all this time? I was starting to lose my patience, and why the hell did you fall from the sky?" "Well, you see, I was searching to see if there are enemies in Konoha and I suddenly encountered a dangerous foe, and after fighting a couple of minutes, I finally managed to defeat the foe, but before I land the fatal blow, the enemy he used an incredible taijutsu move to make me fly, and that's why I was late," said the new arrival with a proud look that he was able to save face in front the crowd. Naruto, not believing the story, said, "Is that why you have slap mark on your face?" Just then the man gave another girly scream and shouted, "Hey, I told you it was a powerful attack." Crying in an I'm style. A minute before, the same man could be seen spying on the women in the hot spring before he felt an evil aura and looked back to see a group of women who had dark auras surrounding them. They then screamed in unison, "Why, you little pervert, prepare to face divine punishment." And the leader slapped him so hard that it sent him flying 3/4 of the way across Konoha. Present time. "So now that you are here, what's your name?" said Naruto, immediately regretting his question. The man then did a crappy dance while summoning a large toad under him and said, "I am the protector of weak and eliminator of the enemy, for I am Jiraiya the Toad Sannin." Causing everyone in the stadium to drop, and Naruto said, "Okay then, now can we get started with the show already?" This made Jiraiya say, "Why? Are you so anxious to get your ass handed by me that you can't wait?" With a smirk before it was returned tenfold by the young blonde before him. "Whatever, Iro Sennin," remarked the young man, causing a tick to appear on Jiraiya's forehead. Just then, before Jiraiya could retort, the Hokage rose from his seat and said, "Shinobi of Konoha, today we'll be experiencing a battle between two of my students, Jiraiya the Toad Sannin and my new apprentice Uzumaki Naruto. This battle we will be judged by the council and I to see which rank he should attain. So enjoy the show, because this might be a fight you will never get to see again and most likely will never forget," loudly stated the Hokage before announcing for the proctor to begin. "Proctor, start the match." Naruto and Jiraiya was facing opposite of each other and the proctor was on the side of the field and he said, "Okay, the rules are that you are simple, no killing each other. I will call match if I see one person is unconscious or unable to continue due to injuries. Now are you two ready?" "Hi," said Naruto and Jiraiya in unison. "Hajime," shouted the proctor. To be continued. Chapter 3. Up in the stand. Four people were conversing quietly with one another up in the stands. What was Hokage-sama thinking, letting a 12-year-old kid fight a Sannin? I mean, I know he might be strong since he was trained by the Hokage, but he can't be strong enough to go up against a Sannin, and Jiraiya-sama is said to be the strongest of the Sannin," said the women with red eyes. "I am not so sure about that, Kurenai. I saw that kid spar with my dad and he seemed pretty strong to me. In fact, I am pretty sure he would be able to fight Kakashi and have a good chance of winning," said the bearded man, smoking a cigarette, making everyone who heard him go wide-eyed. "That's impossible, Asuma. Everyone knows that Kakashi is considered one of the strongest jounin in the village. The only people who might be able to go up against him and win is Guy Well, and of course Hokage-sama would beat him, but my point still stands, he's strong, and this kid is 12. Said Kurenai in a voice full of disbelief, making Asuma chuckle. "Well, we'll just have to see, won't we? My dad seems pretty confident in his student, or otherwise he wouldn't pit him against Jiraiya-sama," said the amused chain smoker as he lit up again. "Well then, let's just watch the match and see what the kid's got," said Kakashi in an amused tone. Back to Naruto and Jiraiya's fight. As soon as the word Hajime had been said, both Naruto and Jiraiya jumped backwards, pulling out kunai and tossing them at each other. They met each other right in the middle of the arena with clang as metal hit metal. Then they both leapt forward at speeds that no ninja below Jounin could see clearly, then after landing at the same time they both threw a right jab at each other, connecting in the middle. Once both fists hit the ground beneath their feet, crumbled from the pressure, and both fighters struggled to overpower the other. Seeing as neither could overpower the other at the moment, both jumped back and Jiraiya started doing hand seals and said Kaiten Hasenka no Jutsu, fire-style art of the Phoenix Flower, which was avoided easily by a burst of speed. As fight continued, both fighters exchanged crippling blows for several minutes. Jiraiya, sensing this was going nowhere, decided to go all out and then moved at blinding speed unseen by most people except the elite ninja watching. Naruto was easily able to see it but wasn't fast enough to dodge the punch that sent him flying into the stadium wall. As Naruto stood from rubble he had a split lip which was quickly healing and a couple of rips in his shirts, though that was the full extent of his injuries. Then with a glance at Jiraiya he smirked and said, "So you finally decided to go all out, huh, Jiraiya-sama? Well then it seems that I don't have to hold back," and with that he put his hands in Ram's seal, causing a vortex of chakra to swirl around him. Then with a shout of Kai and suddenly seals connected to each other appeared all over his skin, making everyone who recognized it go wide-eyed including Jiraiya. Sannin was the only one not surprised as he suppressed a smirk and whispered to himself, "So you've finally decided to show your true strength, eh, Naruto-kun?" In the stands Kurenai and her female friend were confused because they never seen anything like it. This made Kurenai look at Anko with a confused look on her face and say, "Hey Anko, do you know what's happening? I've never seen anything like it in my life." "Well don't ask me, this is first time I've seen it. Maybe it will give him power like the snake freak's curse seal," Anko spat out as she subconsciously rubbed her neck. Kakashi deciding to answer the question since he knew it was better to prevent any mishaps that may happen if Anko thought Naruto had any connection to Orochimaru said, "Anko, that's not a curse seal. What you're seeing right now is a highly advanced gravity seal that hasn't been seen in 12 years. The last person to use this type of gravity seal was the Yondaime Hokage himself. This is because there haven't been any seal masters that could make such a complex seal like that. I don't know how he got his hands on seal like this, but from the amount of them I'd say his speed and strength are about to go through the roof. He made them himself." Asuma decided to cut in casually while opening up another pack of cigarettes. "What?" screamed out Anko, Kurenai, and Kakashi simultaneously. "He made those seal from a rough sketch and description from what the Yondaime made. It was his final test from my father to see if he was worthy of the title of seal master. This kid is an ninjutsu, taijutsu, and fuinjutsu specialist and is about to start advancing his skills in kinjutsu sometime soon. Hell, if I had to guess from what I've seen and heard my dad mention, I would most likely place his fuinjutsu skills about as good as the Yondaime, maybe even better," said Asuma smoking his cigarette like nothing he said was any big deal, when secretly he loved seeing the shocked looks on his comrades' faces. "Damn, I wonder how good this kid really is," said Kakashi in shock because he's considered an advanced seal specialist himself, but even his skills pale in comparison to his late sensei. "Well, we'll know if the Gaki is strong as you claim if he manages to beat Jiraiya-sama, but I doubt it," replied a still awestruck Anko. As the chakra around Naruto died down, the young blonde looked at Jiraiya before saying, "Let's begin then." After getting a nod from Jiraiya the fight was back on. As Jiraiya was about to go into his defensive fighting stance, he quickly found it harder to do than he thought when Naruto's fist connected to the side of his face, delivering a jaw-shattering punch that made everyone's lower jaw drop as they thought that Jiraiya's jaw was broken after that punch. What they didn't know though was that to the old pervert, it felt like a love tap compared to when his old teammate found him peeping and he only lost a couple teeth. "Damn, I was caught off guard and didn't think he would be this fast. He's a lot faster than me, but I should be able to keep up since I've got 40-some years experience on the Gaki," thought Jiraiya as he spat out 2 teeth. Naruto then sped toward Jiraiya before he jumped up and brought his leg down while saying, "Sorahagi no Setsunai, painful sky leg," which Jiraiya luckily blocked, but not completely as there was an audible cracking sound coming from both forearms. Jiraiya winced thinking with a bitter laugh, "Shit, the brat is physically stronger than me too. What's next, is he going to use a jutsu that would make him so fast that I won't be able to follow?" After being beaten up for a couple minutes he was finally able to get accustomed to Naruto's speed and make use of his experience to dodge a little over half the blows thrown at him while only landing 1 or 2. They stopped as suddenly as they started on opposite sides of where they started, both looking slightly winded, Jiraiya more so than Naruto. Naruto thinking that he had enough of taijutsu and wanted to see what the legendary Sannin had in his ninjutsu arsenal and asked, "Well, it looks like we are both about equal in taijutsu with your experience versus my speed and strength advantages, so why don't we test our ninjutsu?" Which caused Jiraiya to sigh a breath of relief as he knew he wouldn't last as long if they continued on with taijutsu and it would look bad for him to be the first to resort to ninjutsu and say, "Well, if that's what you want, then let's see what you got, Gaki." Then both fighters jumped up in the air and started doing hand seals, which to most people seems like a blur. Suddenly Naruto called out, "Futon. Rinkuden, wind release." Drilling air bullet, which was countered by Jiraiya's Futon. Tatapa, wind release. Great breakthrough, which was completely ineffective due to the overwhelming power of the Rinkuden, seeing as it isn't the signature move of Shukaku for nothing, even if it wasn't as strong as the demon can do. Naruto then went through more seals at a speed that was but a blur to all but a few of the spectators before shouting out, "Raiden. Dangan. Lightning shot." As Naruto thrust his right hand forward after announcing the name with his index and middle finger pointing outward towards Jiraiya, and a ball of lightning shot out of the fingers going straight for Jiraiya. Thinking on his feet, Jiraiya made some quick seals and said. Doten. Dangan. Earth shot. He quickly dragged both of his hands on the ground, knocking 2 chunks of earth came out and flew, as Jiraiya tapped them, quickly shot them at the lightning ball heading toward him. The 2 attacks collided and the ball of lightning went right through the first earth ball and detonated as it hit the second, knocking up dust and debris, blocking the spectators' view momentarily. Everyone in the stadium suddenly heard the sounds of metal clashing and flesh hitting flesh when a few seconds later 2 jutsu were launched, one before the other. Oten. Doryuiden, Earth release. Earth dragon projectile, shouted Jiraiya after doing a few quick seals, and sent a large dragon made of earth straight towards the young blonde. Sensing the large amount of chakra being molded by Jiraiya and immediately started up his own set of hand seals, drew in a huge breath of air and shouted Kaiten. Kiryuenden, fire dragon flame projectile, while he blew out a huge dragon made of fire that roared to life, dissipating the dust as it flew straight towards the fast-moving dragon made of earth. The 2 collided and blew up against each other, shaking the stadium. Everyone in the stadium had to cover their faces from the small pebbles flying up and hitting them, as well as from the heat given off by the intense flames. When the dust settled, the entire arena was reshaped. The middle where the 2 attacks had met had molten rock instead of the normal flat ground. Everyone present looked for the 2 fighters that were going at it, only to hear clash after clash of metal above them. During the mini-aerial, Naruto landed a kick on Jiraiya's chin, sending him rocketing towards the ground. Then he quickly started to do more hand seals and shouted out, Kaiten. Kakakyu no Jutsu, great fireball technique, while utilizing his immense chakra reserves, and used 5 times as much chakra as normal, thus creating an extremely large ball of flame, heading at the quickly falling Jiraiya. Noticing the huge fireball heading right at him, Jiraiya quickly used a simple Kawarimi no Jutsu to replace himself with a discarded kunai from earlier. After seeing the gaping crater left after the fireball hit, he was even more grateful for not trying to counter it. Once again, both fighters stood in the center of the battlefield. Jiraiya was missing his vest and the rest of his top sliced up, his jeta looked about ready to break into splinters, along with several cuts, contusions, fractures and missing teeth. While Naruto was in far better condition, only having a few cuts caused from glancing blows, and his shirt was slightly shredded, showing off an amazing body for a 12-year-old, making more than a few girls blush, but other than that he was only slightly winded. But the smirk, Naruto said, okay Jiraiya-sama, I think we should end this now. What do you think? Knowing that the Gamma Sannin would jump at the chance to end this soon, since he was quickly losing face as he was manhandled by a kid. Jiraiya sighed before covering up his exhaustion with a smirk and said, agreed, as he held out his right hand and formed a ball of pure chakra that seemed to spin in numerous directions. This action caused several people who recognized the jutsu quickly whispers about how Jiraiya having to resort to that jutsu. Those who didn't recognize it decided to ask about it. Kurenai herself had never seen the attack before and heard Kakashi gasp in surprise, so she decided to get some answers. Kakashi, do you know what that jutsu is? That's an A-rank jutsu created by the Yondaime. That jutsu was feared among Iwa shinobi above all else, considering how many of their ninja died by that jutsu during the war. It just took about 3 years for the Yondaime to create, and after he finished it he taught it to Jiraiya-sama. Said Kakashi. Along with me, though I never did learn the 3rd step. He thought. This made Anko and Kurenai go wide-eyed, thinking there is no way that Naruto could win against a jutsu like that, as well as thinking of how strong the kid must be to make Jiraiya resort to that jutsu. So you are using Rasengan against me, huh? Said Naruto with no small amount of enthusiasm in his voice at the prospect of facing that jutsu. Oh, you know the name, then you should also know how powerful this jutsu is, right? Mocked Jiraiya as he held the spiraling sphere of chakra in his right palm to his side. It may be powerful, but I also have my own jutsu that I created and I've been itching at testing it against the Rasengan. You will be the first person to experience it firsthand. Even the Sandaime doesn't know the full extent of its power. Said Naruto with unwavering confidence in his voice. This piqued Sandaime's interest since he too wanted to know the true extent of the jutsu. Naruto then started doing 10 hand seals so fast that even Sharingan would have trouble following, though even if they did, they'd only have half of it since he dropped half the seals as to prevent it from being copied. As he stopped, he held his right hand up towards the sky, where a cloud formed in the sky, making it seem like it was already nighttime, when suddenly Naruto was hit by a powerful black lightning bolt which created a crater around him. When it died down, Naruto's whole right forearm and hand could be seen covered by black lightning, forming a rough cone shape at the tips of his fingers. Aki, do you think a Raiden jutsu like that could defeat a jutsu like Rasengan? You should know that this jutsu has chakra spinning randomly in over a dozen different directions, that even if you broke through it would only lose stability and send gale force winds towards you, shredding your arm with your own attack. So I must ask you, are you a masochist or are you a complete moron? Said Jiraiya, smirking. Everyone in the stadium was thinking along those lines. Multiple Aburam clan members were thinking that it was very logical. Well then why don't we just find out if your theory is correct? Said Naruto with a knowing smirk before speeding towards Jiraiya at a level of speed Jiraiya could only guess was about as fast as his old student was when he first became a jounin. Quickly shaking those thoughts from his mind, Jiraiya quickly charged as fast as he could towards his young opponent. Both fighters then moved their right hands back before thrusting them forward with all their strength. Before both jutsu connected they called out simultaneously, Raiden. Naito no Kami, God of Night Lightning, while Jiraiya called out Rasengan, Spiral Sphere. When both jutsu met each other in the center of the arena, they created a huge amount of whirlwind, with streaks of black lightning, swirling about both opponents. Then suddenly Jiraiya's Rasengan gave out and became wild once Naruto's jutsu penetrated the outer shell. The resulting explosion happened as the Toad Sannin predicted until things reversed. As the Rasengan became unstable Jiraiya expected it to turn the black lightning back towards Naruto ending the match, though instead it just dissipated. Once Naruto's attack broke through the Rasengan he redirected it towards a major nerve cluster in Jiraiya's chest, before blunting the attack as to not kill the old pervert. Once the now blunt black lightning encased arm struck the chest, a surge of intense electricity went through his body, making let out an unearthly yell arg. Making the crowd shudder at the power just displayed and at the fact that it caused one of the combatants was in agony. The minute after the dust cleared out Jiraiya could be seen laying unconscious on his back, twitching violently with a huge burn mark the size of Naruto's fist on his chest, along with his hair standing on end and earwax melted and running out his ears. Then one could look at Naruto and see him panting heavily after having just used a quarter of his remaining chakra reserves, which was only actually 1/8 of his original reserves, on that jutsu alone, which is still more than the average Chunin has total, with a slightly burnt and smoking right forearm and hand, but otherwise unhurt. Up in the stands everyone was shocked at the show of power and speed. None of the spectators other than the Hokage, Mito guy, the higher-ups in the Hyuga clan, and Hada Kakashi with his Sharingan on, could even slightly follow their movements. The rest of the people were staring in shock at the young blonde, thinking how the hell a kid could even keep up with a Sannin, let alone defeating him. Gurenai summed up everyone's thoughts. Amazing people who heard her couldn't agree more with her as they just nodded their heads in the affirmative. The Hokage was the first one to break out of his thoughts and said, Ahem, Genma-kun, can you please announce the match? Oh, right Hokage-sama. The fight between Uzumaki Naruto and the Gama Sannin Jiraiya-sama has ended and the winner of the match is Uzumaki Naruto by knockout. After the announcement everyone started cheering for Naruto, even the most die-hard Naruto haters cheered, after all it's not everyday one sees a clearly cage level. The proctor motioned for the medic nin to come and take both fighters, since Jiraiya was still out like a light and Naruto seemed to be on his last legs because he had reactivated his gravity seals, which took a good portion of his remaining chakra. In the Hokage booth Kaharu said, you raised another powerful shinobi Sarutobi, what's that now 4 cage level students? You've made a wise choice with this one Sarutobi, he's this strong at such a young age and has nowhere to go but up. Everyone there couldn't agree with Kaharu more with that. I know, okay now we'll be meeting in 3 days from now in the council office to discuss what rank he should attain. Said the Hokage with a proud smile on his face before he shoo-shined out of the booth. 3 days later council room, everyone ranging from elite jounin and up were in the council room waiting for Jiraiya, the Hokage and Naruto to arrive. Then the door opened and in came the 3 people they were waiting for. The Hokage took his respective seat while wearing his traditional robes, while his 2 students followed and stood in the corner. The room took note of the attire they had on, noticing Naruto wearing his casual clothes consisting of some black jeans, white tank top and black Jetta shoes, and looked completely fine like he hadn't just fought a cage-level opponent 3 days beforehand. Besides him Jiraiya stood with his upper body wrapped in bandages, along with some on his neck and arms with a new red vest over top of them, and otherwise dressed the same. When everyone was settled the Hokage started saying with a smirk, alright, everyone here has seen the battle between Naruto and Toad Sannin Jiraiya, and it seems Jiraiya lost quite badly if I do recall. Getting a glare from Jiraiya and some snickers from the jounin and a smirk from Naruto. The day we are here to decide which rank Uzumaki Naruto is to receive due to him passing his test with flying colors and is now qualified to skip going to the academy and can become a ninja of any rank we decide here today. Started the Hokage while trying to gauge the reactions of the assembled ninja and was quite pleased that none other than Danzo had any hate in their eyes regarding Naruto, then continued. Now I will go through rank from Chunin up and anyone who supports the rank suggested will raise their hand and I will take the majority vote to decide his rank, said Hokage before starting the rank selection process. Alright, all those in favor of Uzumaki Naruto promoted to the rank of Chunin. No one except Danzo agreed on Naruto being a Chunin. This wasn't due to the fact that really wanted a free-thinking powerhouse like Naruto en route, no, it's because he would love to lure his rival student away from hopefully creating an opening for him to take advantage of. Unfortunately seeing no one else agreed he frowned at his plans being foiled yet again, the Hokage ignored his vote. Anyone in favor of Naruto Uzumaki promoted to Jounin speak up now. This time only one elder and some Jounin agreed, which made the Hokage sigh in frustration before going to the fallback option. Since no one seems to agree with my terms, I will start with Hiashi-san's opinion. Which rank do you think Naruto should achieve? Asked the old man. Well, Hokage-sama, with the skill and intelligence young Naruto showed to not only keep up with, but to defeat a sannin, let alone the strongest one. I would say he should receive the title of a sannin, seeing as with Orochimaru's betrayal, we are one ninja short of actually having any sannin, and while I'm quite aware that it's not a title we can give, since it was Hanzo-san who gave it to them. Though I think he'd more than agree to the boy deserving the title over a traitor, should he have still been among the living. This made majority of the people in the room go wide-eyed for multiple reasons, first being that they just realized Konoha has been without the sannin for over a decade, and secondly, while they all knew he deserved the title, they never would have guessed Hiashi would have been the one to bring it up. The Hokage and Jiraiya smiled at that, both knowing it's a great choice, as keeping a ninja of Naruto's potential locked up in the village, only leaving for missions, would only hinder his growth, and with the title of sannin, one gains special traveling rights that can only be revoked in a time of war. The Hokage then looked at everyone, said, do all those here agree with that? Hi, most of the people said without a second thought. Well then, congratulations Uzumaki Naruto on receiving the title of a sannin and all the benefits that comes with it. Said the old Kage with no small amount of pride in his voice as he gazed upon the smiling face of his young apprentice. Naruto smiled and reined in his excitement until the meeting could come to a close because an outburst in front of so many important figures would be frowned upon before saying arigato Sarutobi-sensei. Well then, now that it's settled, the meeting is adjourned, and Naruto, I want to meet me at the tower tomorrow to receive your gift from me to you as a congratulations on becoming a sannin. Said the Hokage with gently smile. Hi sensei, said Naruto, and everyone left with that. Most couldn't wait to spread the news about Konoha finally having a complete set of sannin. To be continued. Chapter 4. The next morning day. After the meeting, Kakashi was walking by the best dango shop in town with his face buried in a certain orange book when suddenly he heard someone call out his name. After a quick look from side to side, he noticed Anko, Kurenai, and Asuma were sitting down in the dango shop with few other people conversing about the event that took place 3 days ago in the stadium. He then casually walked up to them and said, "Yo, what are you guys talking about?" "Hello Kakashi, still perverted I see. We're just talking about the fight between the kid and Jiraiya-sama and filling Hade, Yugao, Haruka, and Ibiki in on the details on the fight," said Kurenai with venom in her voice as she mentioned perverts. "Hey, Haruka, why are you here since I know you didn't take a mission?" asked Kakashi to a man who had a scar across his nose. "Well, you see, at that time I was teaching the academy students since most of the teachers left to watch the fight," explained Haruka in a bitter tone since he heard it was one hell of a fight and he missed it. "No Kakashi, they were going to decide which rank Naruto earned last night, right?" asked Asuma, earning a nod from the scarecrow. "You were there, right? I mean, it's not like you're gonna miss something like that seeing its direct connection to the Yondaime, so can you tell us if he made Chunin or Jounin?" finished Asuma. His question made everyone listen carefully, anxious to know the rank of a shinobi who had defeated a sannin, let alone the strongest of the sannin of all people. Most people were wondering solely to see if they might be able to work with the kid, especially Kurenai and Anko, who thought he was really cute and likely to turn into a real looker as he grows. Kakashi couldn't wait to see the look on everyone's faces, so he put his left hand on his headband and said, "Well, the majority of the people on the council didn't want him to be either Chunin or Jounin." This earned him more than a few questioning looks from everyone present before he then said, "So Hokage-sama asked Hiashi-sama for his opinion first." Hiashi then said that he wanted Naruto to be the last sannin and everyone the council agreed. Said Kakashi, quickly bringing out his Sharingan to memorize the look on their face. "Ah, priceless," thought Kakashi while smiling under his mask. Everyone had their jaw on the floor, and after couple of seconds later Asuma finally spoke up. "Yo, you aren't pulling our legs, are you Kakashi?" asked Asuma, who was baffled by Kakashi's response. "Why yeah, I mean there are already 3 sannin, so it would be weird to have another sannin and still call them sannin and not Yonin or something," retorted a confused Haruka. Did you guys say something?" retorted the copy nin, making people sweat drop while he was still smiling under his mask. Kurenai, enraged by his idiotic answer, punched him in the back of the head and yelled, "Baka, answer the question already." "No, I am not pulling your leg, Asuma." He was elected as the new sannin, and for your information Haruka, Orochimaru lost his title the day he abandoned Leaf. So now Naruto is elected to fill his place, and we all know that he deserves it if his battle with Jiraiya-sama was any indication. Concluded the perverted Jounin with a smirk while rubbing the lump on his head. Anko smirked and said, "Well then I guess next time we see the Gaki we'll have call him Naruto-sama, now won't we?" Deciding to pull her legs, the one-eyed Jounin said, "Wouldn't you like that, Anko?" This earned him a glare from a slightly blushing Kurenai and an intense blush from Anko before she snapped. "What the hell is that supposed to mean, Kakashi?" shouted the snake mistress while hurling dango sticks at the pervert's crotch, causing him to hide behind Ibiki, who casually caught them all like it was an everyday occurrence. "Oh, nothing at all." With that, he rushed off before she got serious and started throwing kunai, because even Ibiki has a limit to what he'll do for a comrade, and getting between them and a pissed off Anko with a kunai is way past that limit. The rumor about Uzumaki Naruto being the third sannin spread like a wildfire. Civilians didn't really care since they thought it was only a rumor, while the shinobi section knew that it was most likely the truth since most of them saw the match 3 days ago and the rest at least heard about it, and they were all actually kind of happy to know that Konoha produced another strong shinobi and finally had its third sannin. They were also hoping that Naruto doesn't end up like Itachi and go nuts killing everybody. Noon at the Hokage Tower. Naruto and the Hokage could be seen in front of a huge vault that was filled with hundreds of different kinds of jutsu. Naruto was in awe by the sheer amount of jutsu in one place, since he never had the chance to see this place. Even if he was the Hokage's apprentice, he would usually get scrolls from the Hokage to practice on his own. The only time his sensei would help him was during taijutsu training, since instruction was key to learning taijutsu. In the vault there were 5 different sections. Each section labeled as taijutsu, ninjutsu, jinjutsu, kenjutsu, and kenjutsu. This got Naruto excited since he wanted to be a master of kenjutsu, since he loved the feel of a blade in his hands, but he never got to learn anything beside the basics of kenjutsu, considering the fact that the sandaime was only proficient in kenjutsu and not good enough to teach someone who wishes to become a master of it. "Sensei, since you said that I should be a kenjutsu master, how come I never got to learn anything beside the basics?" asked a confused Naruto. The old man then looked at Naruto and smiled before saying, "You see Naruto, the reason I only taught you the basics is because I want you to create your own style of kenjutsu that could only be considered unique to you. So I taught you the basics because you'll use them to build your style up from there, which is what any true kenjutsu master has. His own style. Now do you see why I only taught you the basics?" asked the Hokage, getting a nod from Naruto. Then the Hokage started to walk toward the subsection of the ninjutsu section, which contained the summoning contracts of Konoha. The section had all the summoning contracts not currently being used, as if he wanted one of those he'd need the current contract holder's permission. "Okay, Naruto-kun, this is my gift to you. You may now pick one of the 4 currently unused summoning contracts, as every sannin has their own summon animal. The ones to choose are the boar, the bear, the bird, and the lizard." As Naruto looked at them, he couldn't help but feel a pull to the corner of the room. As he approached the corner, he noticed there was a small dusty scroll on the shelf. Slowly picking it up, he dusted it off and saw the kanji for Phoenix. It was the contract for summoning the Phoenix clan. "Sensei, I chose this one," he said casually while waving the small scroll in the air. "Okay Naruto, which summon is that?" asked the old man. Phoenix was all Naruto said, making the Hokage look at him in shock. Noticing the shock of his sensei, he asked, "What's wrong, sensei?" "I think you should pick another summon, Naruto. All of the previous holders of Phoenix contract died. They couldn't pass the test given by the boss, and in return they were burned to a crisp," he said before looking at Naruto with a worried look on his face, since he knew Naruto was never one to back down from a challenge. "Naruto-kun, you are amazingly strong, but are you strong enough to pass the test is the question," thought the old Cage. I was drawn to it, sensei. I don't know how to explain it, but I know that I'm meant to have this. So I guess I'll be the first holder of the Phoenix contract who lives to tell the tale, now won't I?" Naruto said with a confident smirk on his face and a voice full of pure guts and determination, making his sensei sigh. "If that's your choice, Naruto, then let's go to a safe area away from Konoha for you to practice the jutsu," said the Hokage in a resigned tone, knowing there is no way to talk the blonde out of this when he's like this, with that both left in a swirl of leaves. With Naruto and his sensei standing in a clearing about 10 miles outside of Konoha, the Hokage told him to take out the scroll and write his name in blood on the scroll and his bloody handprint on it. Naruto opened the scroll and saw the names of about 10 people written in blood that was now black, so he assumed they were hopefuls who failed the test given to them. He then proceeded to cut his thumb and write his name on the scroll and put his handprint on the bottom of it. Naruto closed the scroll and quickly sealed it in his carrying scroll before he stood up to look at the Hokage. "Alright Naruto, now I want you to do the hand seals for Kuchius, then mold a massive amount of chakra. I'd say a quarter of your reserves could summon 3 Gamabuntas, and he takes about the most chakra to summon of all the summon bosses, then you'll find out if you pass the test exactly how much to use to summon the boss. Then place the hand you used on the contract to where you want to summon," explained the aged Cage. Naruto nodded in understanding, then went through sets of seal gathering a massive amount of chakra, then slammed his right hand in the ground, shouting, "Kuchius no Jutsu." Suddenly a 40-foot in diameter section of the clearing was set ablaze, making the Hokage hastily jump out of the way to avoid being burned. Under Naruto's feet a portal made of fire opened up and from it rose what seemed like a giant bird made purely of fire, But if you look closely there could be seen a bird was actually inside the fire and Naruto was standing in the midst of the fire on the mighty bird's beak. Under Sarutobi's keen eye he estimated the mighty phoenix stood at a large 150 feet and as it flapped its astonishing 225 feet long wings, twice the fire vanished from the ground and the bird showed itself. When its foot touched the ground, it trembled under the bird's eyes. Now as the bird took in its surroundings it folded its mighty dark red wings with orange feathers sticking out into a casual position. Its brilliant orange feathers covering its body calmed down and laid back and its once flaming tail feathers came to a rest. On top of its head were 3 red feathers set vertically. The phoenix then moved its gaze to look at Naruto with its surprisingly crystal blue eyes took in the appearance of the one who summoned it before speaking, "Are you the person who summoned me from my slumber?" When Naruto replied with a nod as he didn't trust his voice due to his amazement, the phoenix continued speaking, "My name Raijin, the head of the Phoenix clan. If you want the help from my kind, you need to pass the test I shall give you," stated the phoenix as if reading off a script. "So what is it I have to do, Raijin-sama?" asked Naruto as humbly as the proud boy could, which wasn't very humble as he held a raw determination in his eyes and voice. "Look into my eyes, boy, and tell me what do you plan on using the power of my kin for?" asked Raijin as he peered into Naruto's soul with glowing cold blue eyes. "I sense no corruption, he may be the first what's this? A demon huh? It appears to be the Kyuubi, and he's desperately trying to taint the boy. Amazing he's keeping the taint at bay subconsciously. Truly is a remarkable child," thought the mighty summon as Naruto spoke. "I plan on working with them to protect all those precious to me, as well as this village. Even though they shun me for something I had no control over. I will protect them all, because I am a sannin of Konohagaku no Sado," said the blonde in a voice overflowing with grit and determination, as if daring the beast to question his answer, which he believed in with his whole heart and soul. "Alright boy, you passed the test," replied the great winged bird. "If I may ask Raijin-sama, what was the test?" asked the young blonde as he tilted his head in confusion. But the tremendous chuckled Raijin responded, "Well hatchling, that was a test of your soul." Upon seeing the boy still not truly understand he sighs and continues. "If I sensed your soul was corrupt in the slightest way or your answer untrue I would have destroyed you. You passed cause your soul is pure and answer true which is a must among my clan. Now I have a gift for you hatchling, roll up your left sleeve," finished the great bird. Once Naruto complied a feather drifted from the summon's brow before landing on the blonde's forearm. Seconds later there was a red flash and the sound of flesh burning before Naruto was engulfed in his own chakra for several moments until he fell from the phoenix boss's beak hastily to the ground. Approximately halfway through his descent the blonde was caught by a large feather before drifting towards a worried Hokage. Upon seeing the look of concern from the old man, Raijin decided to tell him what occurred. "Old man, the hatchling will be alright, I just applied my clan's unique summoning tattoo. Though I'm quite surprised, that tattoo is unique to my clan, it has a storage so to speak. He will be able to fill its reservoir with chakra and that is what happened. It forcibly took all the chakra it could handle from him while leaving him alive. This will allow him to summon us by merely applying blood to it and choosing the amount he wishes to use. The reason I'm surprised is that Mark can hold enough to summon me 5 times and counting that he already summoned me, plus the tattoo itself taking about half as much as it takes to summon me just to be applied, so I'm surprised he had that much chakra in him. Arigato Raijin-sama," thanked the Hokage getting a nod from the summon. He then looked at Naruto to see him sleeping peacefully with a new addition to his arm. "Until next time," said Raijin disappearing in large swirl of fire. Moments later just before the Hokage was about to leave the area a squad of Anbu appeared in front of him. All the Anbu members kneeled in front of the Hokage, followed by the captain who wore a bear mask covering his face, standing and said, "Hokage-sama, are you alright? We felt that huge chakra spike from here while on patrol and decided to come check it out and just finished checking the perimeter. Also what happened to Naruto-sama?" "I am alright captain. As for the chakra spike it was Naruto-kun. He took and passed I might add the test of his new summon's boss," responded the Hokage whose voice was full of pride. "If you don't mind me asking Hokage-sama, which summon did Naruto-sama choose?" asked a woman with purple hair and cat Anbu mask. "Of course not. Naruto picked the Phoenix contract and became its official summoner today," the Sandaime said casually wishing he could see the looks on all their faces because at this all the Anbu had their eyes wide since they never heard of such contract. "I would love to stay and chat, but I have to take our newest member of the Sannin to the hospital." But that the Hokage shoe-shined out of the clearing while the Anbu continued their patrol. The next day Naruto awoke to see a white ceiling, making him groan since he recognized where he is at the moment. "Damn, I think I should get my own room here and maybe move in seeing as I spend the majority of my time here when I train," thought Naruto while his mind wandered off thinking about the time when he was injured practicing jutsu while subconsciously rubbing the new addition to the underside of his left forearm. His sensei would always find him beaten up and unconscious in the training field from overworking himself. Getting out of his trance, Naruto decided to go to the bathroom and freshen up so he could get out of this place. As he washed his face, he noticed the tattoo and recognized it as a summoning tattoo, though it was strange he sensed a tremendous amount of chakra coming from within it. Shrugging it off as something to ask his sensei about later, he walked out of the bathroom only to see his sensei sitting in a chair while reading a certain orange book. When Sarutobi saw Naruto, he quickly put away his book hoping Naruto didn't see it. "There is no point in hiding it, Iro-sensei, since I already knew you read those perverted books," said Naruto, making the Hokage's left eye twitch because of the nickname his student gave him. "So where is Hiro-sennin?" questioned the blonde while looking around the room. The Hokage giving him a questioning look and said, "Who might that be, Naruto?" "Why, Jiraiya-sama, of course. I decided to give him a nickname as well, since he's the one who writes that smut you read." At that, Sarutobi's sweat dropped and wondered how Naruto came up with these names. "Why do you need Jiraiya, Naruto?" questioned the Sandaime curiously. "Oh, no reason, I just wanted to call him Hiro-sennin," said Naruto smiling. Causing the Hokage to face fault after hearing that. "So, why are you here, sensei?" asked the young blonde in confusion. "Let's go to my office so we can speak in private." With that, both sensei and student shushined to the Hokage's office, where Naruto was now sitting in a chair in front of Hokage's desk, who was smoking from his pipe with a solemn look on his face. "Hey sensei, I have a question," said the young blonde, trying to cut the tension in the room with a question. "What's wrong, Naruto?" asked the old Hokage, glad for his student to break the uncomfortable silence. "What's with the massive amount of chakra in this summoning tattoo?" asked a young sannin. That well, Raijin said that the tattoo has a special feature unique to his clan. The tattoo has a chakra storage. This enables you to fill it up and keep it full so you don't have to waste your chakra during battle. All you need to do is apply blood and release the amount you want to use, and so you know, he said that it can hold enough to summon him 5 times, so you'll need to use 1/5 of the chakra in it to summon him," concluded the professor as he looked at his slightly bored student. Then with a sigh he continued, "Once applied, it took a large amount of chakra to set, then forcibly took as much chakra as it could from you, which happened to be enough to fill it up, though it left you drained." "Yad, I passed," shouted the young blonde, which made the old man chuckle and remember that as powerful as the boy is, he's still a boy. "I guess from now on I'll be known as Konoha's Fenikusu-sannin, huh?" half said of asked the young blonde. The Hokage chuckled, "Yes, Naruto, you'll be known as that from now on. Now, onto what I was officially going to tell you. As a sannin, you are able to do many things that normal shinobi aren't able to. A sannin immediately assumes control of soldiers on a battlefield as the highest rank, except when the Hokage is present at the scene. Sannin usually take on an apprentice as a way to pass on their legacy, but I don't think you'll have to worry about that since you've got a long time ahead of you to worry about that. They are also able to leave the village for as long as they want, but will be considered a missing ninja if not heard from for longer than for about a year, or if they refuse to return when sent for during wartime situations. They usually attempt to get information on threats to the village when opportunity arises, unless you're Jiraiya, in which it's basically his sole duty, other than his writing, haha. So you see, Naruto, if you want to leave the village you could, but you have to keep in touch with me every once in a while," said Sarutobi, earning a nod from Naruto. "Is there anything else you to tell me, sensei?" said Naruto, annoyed by the fact that his sensei is still not telling him about that when he was sure that now that he was a sannin, his sensei would come clean. Hokage, not knowing what Naruto was talking about, said, "Not anything I can think of right now." Completely oblivious to the giant tick over Naruto's right eye. "Oh, I don't know, maybe you could at least tell me that the reason I'm hated by most of Konoha is because of the Kyuubi being sealed inside me," calmly said Naruto with a hint of annoyance in his voice, making the Hokage stare at Naruto in shock. He had totally forgot about that, but how did you know about that, Naruto?" shakily questioned the Sandaime. Sensei, you actually thought that a seal master like me wouldn't notice a gigantic seal on his stomach?" said the blonde in a mock-hurt tone. While grabbing his heart and adding, "You wound me with your lack of faith in my abilities, sensei." "I see. So how long have you known?" asked the Hokage with a massive sweat drop due to the uniqueness of his student. Naruto sighed before he said, "Probably about a year and a half ago. My shirt got burned practicing a jutsu, and when I molded chakra, I saw the seal on my stomach, and after some research I found out that this was the seal made by the Yondaime, and sort of just connected the dots from there." "So, you are not mad, Naruto?" wearily asked the old Kage, somewhat afraid of the answer. "Well, at first I was, but then I got over it. I chose to accept my destiny. I do have one question though, why me?" asked the young blonde. Sarutobi had a sad face at his question, but decided to answer, "You were the only baby that was born on the day the Kyuubi attacked. The Yondaime would have used some other alternative, but there was none at the time, so he decided to use a newborn baby to seal the Kyuubis away," explained Sarutobi. "But what about my parents, why did I never know them?" At that question Hokage cringed, which Naruto noticed but decided to. I am sorry Naruto, but we never found out who your parents were. Sarutobi lied, which was also noticed by Naruto, but he didn't press the question since he knew his sensei was a better liar than that, so he knew there was a reason for him to lie so badly. Naruto then took out a kunai and threw it at the ceiling, causing someone to fall from there, and that person just so happened to be Jiraiya. After landing in a heap he quickly got up and said, "Oh ho Naruto, as good as ever I see." Naruto, deciding to screw with him, said, "No, not really. You just suck Iro Sennin." Causing Jiraiya's left eye to twitch and start mumbling about youngsters these days have no respect for elders or something like that. The old Kage chuckled at his students' antics but decided to calm them down, the only way he knew how. With the voice, "Settle down now you two," he said in a voice that promised punishment if they disobeyed. After that they both looked up and he continued, "So Jiraiya-kun, what are you doing here?" "I need to leave today since I haven't been able to do any research in Konoha because someone commissioned a squad of Anbu Kunoichi to patrol the hot springs," said Jiraiya while sporting pathetic look of defeat while rubbing a phantom pain in his lower regions while also glaring daggers at the snickering new Sannin. "Really now I wonder who would go and do a thing like that," said the young blonde in a mocking tone. "Ahem, right, let me know what you discover in your research and do it fast." "I don't like waiting," said the Hokage, and the Chibi Hokage was currently dancing around saying yay, next stop Icha Paradise Volume 10. Before Naruto decided to cut in and ruin his happy dance said, "By research you mean peeking on women then getting the hell beat out of you, don't you Iro Sannin?" Before getting a hit over the head by Jiraiya, making his eyes widen slightly before he quickly schooled his features into a fake smile. Jiraiya then yelled, "Baka, don't call me that." "Why not, you are a pervert aren't you?" asked Naruto curiously while using his pinky to clean out his ear due to the pervert's loud yell of indignation. "I am not a pervert, I'm a super pervert," yelled proudly said super pervert, making his sensei and new teammate sweat drop. Well, back to business. I'm going to leave Konoha for a while sensei," casually stated the young blonde, making both Jiraiya and Sarutobi look at him oddly. The Hokage then asked what was on both their minds. "Why so sudden Naruto?" "Well, I want to create my own Kenjutsu style which will take some time and I want to get out and spread my wings, don't worry, though I'll be back to see the hopeful genin due to graduate in 3 years. Since most of the clan heirs are in that batch and I also want to see someone special," Naruto said with a blush while thinking of a certain red-eyed woman. This got him a curious look from both the perverts in the room. "Well Naruto, I finalized your Sannin travel rights earlier today and so you're all set to go anytime," said the Hokage in a bitter tone since there was a large amount of paperwork involved in Sannin travel rights. Naruto then got up and headed towards the door before looking back and said, "I guess this'll be last time I see you in few years Na-sensei." "Hi Naruto," said a sad yet proud Hokage. "Well, Johnny." With that the blonde closed the door and left. "He'll grow up to be stronger than his father, won't he sensei?" asked Jiraiya, getting a nod from Sarutobi. The next morning Naruto could be seen jumping houses speeding towards the main gate. He was kind of sad that he wouldn't be able to see the red-eyed woman for some time, but knew that he could see her in a couple years, depending on when he finishes his training. As he jumped to the ground and walked up to the front gate he saw two Chunin talking amongst themselves, not even noticing him. This caused him to sigh as he wasn't masking his presence at all, nor was he trying to be stealthy at all. "Ugh, some gatekeepers we have here," thought the blonde as he made his presence known with a loud ahem, making the two shinobi look up. The one with a white cloth that went across his face said, "Non-ar Naruto-sama, sorry we didn't see you there." "It's okay guys, but can you be a little more vigilant please? And open the gate for me?" asked Naruto before getting nod from both, and when they opened the door, the Chunin with long hair that covered his left eye and face asked, "Are you on mission Naruto?" "Well, I guess you could say that. So I'll see you guys in a few years," said Naruto with a smile before he vanished from sight in a burst of pure speed. "Where do you think he's going?" asked the cloth-covered Chunin. "I don't know," said his friend. Neither knew that Konoha wouldn't be seeing the Fenikusu Sannin, Uzumaki Naruto for 3 long years. To be continued. Chapter 5. It has been more than 2.5 years now since Uzumaki Naruto, the Fenikusu Sannin of Konoha, left the village to train. During that time a lot has changed. Konoha's Genjutsu mistress had finally become a Jounin, with her friend Konoha's snake mistress, who was now a special Jounin. A certain Inu masked Anbu captain left his Anbu duty to become a full-pledged Jounin. Also, rumor about the Fenikusu Sannin has spread throughout the shinobi world, and when shinobi of another country heard that he was child of age 12, they would laugh, thinking that Konoha is making anyone a member of Sannin these days because they were probably desperate to keep the title going. In spite of that, Iwa and Kumo decided to make Naruto an S-class nin in order to kill on sight because he looked exactly like the Yondaime Hokage of Konoha. The new formed village Odo also made him an S-class nin because he had killed several dozen of their Jounin and Chunin, thus pissing off the self-proclaimed Odokage. There was also another shinobi that was making name for himself, though no one actually saw him because he was simply too fast to see. Not even several squads of Anbu from Iowa were any match for him. Before they even knew what hit them, they were laying in their own pool of blood. He would come and simply disappear. Whenever this ninja comes and leaves, there would be a trail of orange that would also disappear with a wind a second later, so there would be no way to follow him. He called himself Senku no Kami, and the only reason anyone knew this was due to the time when he killed several Iowa Anbu squads, who were rumored to have slaughtered a tiny town on the border of fire and earth, where he left a small black plate with the kanji for Senku no Kami in the middle of the mangled corpses of the Iowa Anbu. During this time, Naruto managed to create his own kenjutsu style that was impossible for anyone not of his blood to use. Aside from that, he also added more jutsu to his arsenal and increased his natural speed, which was extremely important for the kenjutsu style he created. He also trained with all the different kinds of phoenix who taught him some jutsu and teamwork. He would usually train about 8 hours a day, and the rest would go between eating, taking shower, sleep, and hunting missing nins for some extra cash. He also formed his own spy network that in his opinion was pretty good. It was now officially 3.5 years since Naruto left, and the Hokage was wondering when Naruto would return due to the self-imposed return date he set for himself was drawing near. Then there was a knock on the door before it opened suddenly, and in came 3 people. The first could be identified as Hada Kakashi, who was currently reading Icha Icha Paradise, second was his son Sarutobi Asuma, and the last one was the rookie Jounin Yuhi Kurenai. Asuma is the first one to speak up as he asked a question, "Hokage-sama, why have you called us here today?" Before he lit a new cigarette. "As you all know, we have a batch of students who will be graduating tomorrow from the academy. Only the passing students will be picked to become rookie genin and trailed off the old cage while taking a silent puff on his pipe. That's where we come in, don't we?" said Kakashi, putting away his book with a sigh as he was not looking forward to this. "Hi, I want you 3 to take teams, and I know Kurenai that you are a rookie jounin, but I think that the experience will be good for you and beside your team, and Kakashi's team will be a joint team since there is uneven number of students, so you have nothing to worry about. That is if they pass, which I am pretty sure they will." The sannin finished as he let out a puff of smoke. "So who will I be getting?" asked Kakashi lazily. "You'll get the Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura, with Kurenai getting Inyazuka Kiba, Hyuga Hinata, and Aburame Shino. Asuma you'll be getting the next generation Ino Shikacho trio. Oh, and Kakashi, don't be late or you'll be doing D-rank mission for the next year," said Hokage in a serious tone, making Kakashi take up on the threat. "That's all for now, you 3 are free to leave." Getting nods from all 3 as they vanished in a puff of smoke. A mile away from Konoha, a figure was speeding toward Konoha at incredible speed. The figure had blonde hair with red tips that was spiky, which went down to the middle of his shoulder blades, along with his beautiful blue eyes. He had a face men would kill for and women would drool over. He had a forehead protector that was tied around his forehead with black cloth, identifying him as a shinobi. The insignia on it was unseen since his hair covered it. On his back was a sword with black sheath. Currently he was wearing a black sweater with a gray shinobi pants, and on his right thigh was a kunai hostler. He was also wearing black ninja sandals, and over his sweater was a black trench coat with orange flame, licking the bottom of it and also on the bottom of the short sleeves. On the back of the cloak there was the kanji for Fenikusu. Before he arrived in front of Konoha's gate, he put a black mask over his face, for he feared the plague known as fangirls. 2 Chunin stopped in front of him whom he didn't recognize, and one of them said, "Halt, state your name and reason for coming to Konoha." While on the inside both thought, he looks familiar. "Uzumaki Naruto of Konoha returning from his training mission," said Naruto in a laid-back tone that, while showing he's slightly bored, also commanded respect. This made both Chunin eyes wide, and they hurried and said, "Gomen Nesai Naruto-sama, we didn't recognize you with that mask on." Naruto waved his hand and said it didn't matter before he left in a swirl of black and orange flames that made both of the Chunin gape mouths ajar, considering they never saw any types of shunshin like this one. The Hokage was currently reading a certain orange book and was pretty caught up in it since he hadn't sensed anyone lingering around the office when suddenly he saw flames swirl around a figure. He quickly put his book and assumed a relaxed yet defensive posture in his chair. As the flames vanished and he saw a person with blonde hair with red streaks, blue eyes, whose face was covered in black mask. Also he was about 60 feet tall and very muscular, yet not bulky, standing in the middle of his office. He couldn't help but feel like he'd seen him before until it clicked. "Nah, Naruto, is that you?" asked the bewildered Hokage. Naruto chuckled and said, "I'm surprised you recognized me, sensei. Though I'm glad you did, or else I would have had to beat you senseless until you did remember me." Chuckling the whole time. Which made the Hokage smile before responding. "You sure have grown, Naruto, haven't you?" "Of course I have, I am pretty sure I could beat you in an all-out battle now," said Naruto in a tone that held absolute confidence in himself and not a bit of cockiness. And no, I mean, you got taller than me now, and I am pretty sure you could beat me if you wanted to," said Sarutobi with pride in his voice, happy that he could train such a student, though slightly shaken by the confidence Naruto conveyed in his tone as he mentioned that he felt he could beat him. "So Naruto, why are you wearing a mask?" asked the curious Cage. Naruto blushed slightly out of embarrassment before saying, "Well, you see, a year after I left I started getting fangirls wherever I went. So to keep under the radar and keep the fangirls at bay, I chose to start wearing a mask." "Well, can I at least see your face?" asked the Hokage, who was anxious to determine how many fangirls Naruto would get if he didn't use his mask in Konoha. Sure, but you can't let it slip out or I will beat the crap out of you, Good," asked Naruto in a frightening tone before getting a nod from Hokage. Then as he started to pull off his mask in slow motion, which gave a tick on his sensei's forehead before he had enough and yelled, "Hurry up already." Naruto ducked at the volume before responding in pained voice while trying to clean out his ears with his pinky. "Alright, geez, you don't have to be so loud about it." He then took off his mask completely and Hokage blinked for a few seconds before his eyes went wide and his jaw dropped to the ground from shock. If he didn't know that this was Naruto, he would have thought this was the former Hokage of Konoha, the Yondaime Hokage. It still didn't stop him from whispering, Minato." Before thinking, damn, he looks so much like Minato that it's not even funny. No wonder he has fangirls. Minato was practically beating them off with a stick before Kushina actually started to beat them with sticks, kunai, shuriken, swords, jutsu, and whatever else was handy, haha. I'm actually surprised he has been able to avoid them, though I don't know why, haha. Naruto gave him a questioning look. "Did you say something, sensei?" feigning ignorance as he heard what was said. "Oh sorry, no, I was just thinking about someone who you reminded me of," quickly said the aging Cage while taking in all that as his student. "Okay," said Naruto putting back his mask on his face before anyone else barged in and saw him. "Naruto, why don't you have the whisker-like marks on your face?" questioned a confused Hokage as he knew he was old, but he could have sworn Naruto always had whisker marks. "Oh that, well you see, when I found out about me having the Kyuubi and that it was the reason I had those whiskers marks, I decided to make a seal that would separate my chakra from its and keep them from mixing so it wouldn't be able to alter my body like that. After a year and a half of researching the Yondaime's seal, I was finally able to come up with a way to make his seal more powerful without hindering my growth. Also, the Kyuubi will never be able to communicate with me or ever wake up from his slumber, though if the need was to ever arise, I could forcibly withdraw its chakra," explained the blonde before getting a nod of understanding from his sensei. "Can I see this new seal you added to Yondaime's, Naruto?" asked a Hokage and getting a nod in return. Naruto then lifted up his shirt and focused some chakra around his abdomen where the seal was. As the Hokage came closer to Naruto and looked carefully at the seal, admiring its complexity, there were 3 circles inside each other which were surrounding the original seal to keep Kyuubi and Naruto connected with the first circle were 10 lines connected with each other to create a star. "This seal is much stronger than the one Yondaime created, but both combined could contain at least 5 Kyuubis without a problem," said Naruto, making Hokage's eyes wide open before continuing. "Though without the masterful seal the Yondaime put on to begin with, this seal would never have worked. Pretty confident in it, aren't you, Naruto?" said the Hokage with a smirk, knowing well confident Naruto was rarely ever cocky. "Of course, I am the one who created it after all," boasted Naruto jokingly with a smile. "So, what do you call it?" questioned the old man while smoking his pipe. "Orichalco's no fuin," said Naruto nonchalantly as he relaxed in a chair. "So what else can you do that I don't know about, because I don't want to have a heart attack if I see you fight and pull something amazing. I'm old, you know, and knowing you, that stuff can happen," said the Hokage, eyeing Naruto's hair while laying a small guilt trip on the young man. "Well, I learned some new jutsu from a couple missing nins, some from my summons, created my own style of kinjutsu, and also a speed technique. No, I won't tell you what it is." Making the Hokage pout at his response, which made Naruto laugh wholeheartedly at the god of shinobi pouting like an academy student. Then the door to the Hokage's office opened and in came the grandson of the Hokage charging and saying, "Old man, today victory shall be mine," making Naruto and Hokage sweat drop. "This is the 10th times today," said the old man while watching Konohamaru trip on his own scarp and fall. Konohamaru then looked at Naruto and pointed his finger at him, then said, "You, how dare you trip me?" Getting another sweat drop, Naruto and Hokage. "Hey-oh, Konohamaru," said Naruto, ignoring his comment while he waited for the young boy to recognize who he was. Konohamaru's eyes widened in recognition, yelled, "Naruto Nai-san, you're back," before he jumped and hugged Naruto. Naruto chuckled at this and hugged him back, and after releasing Konohamaru from the hug, Naruto ruffled his hair and said, "So what are you doing these days, besides trying to defeat you grandfather?" "Well, I joined the academy, but the teachers are really boring and they don't teach any jutsu except the crappy basics," spitefully said Konohamaru, which earned a laugh from Naruto and a chuckle from his grandfather. "So Nai-san, can you teach me one of your cool jutsu?" asked the energetic youth full of hope. Once you're a genin I'll teach you a couple. Deal? Said Naruto, earning him a sad yet hopeful nod. Well guys, I have to go since I am kind of hungry from the traveling, so I'll see you two later. Oh, and when is the genin team selection? Asked Naruto. Tomorrow at 10, but why do you want to know? Responded the Kage before asking his own question. I want to see the batch that graduated and maybe check out the jounin, answered the blonde with barely contained glee at the prospect of seeing that red-eyed beauty again. Well, Johnny. Then Naruto used the flame shunshin and disappeared. Konohamaru was looking at the spot from where Naruto disappeared in awe before he yelled, Sugoi, which was heard throughout the Leaf Village. Naruto was now walking through the streets of Konoha, getting odd glances from time to time from nearby people. He could tell that these glances were not that of hate, but it was that of familiarity. He didn't know that people looked at him like that because he was wearing the cloak that looked awfully like the Yondaime Hokage's. He headed straight towards his destination, which was the Ichiraku Ramen. When he got there he saw old man Tucci cleaning the table. He went up to him and sat there, then said, Old man, can I have 2 miso and 1 pork ramen? Humming right up, am 2 miso and 1 pork. Yelled the old ramen chef as he took in the sight of the new customer. Naruto sighed. It seems he didn't recognize me, but then again with the mask on he shouldn't. So are you new in Konoha? Asked the old man while trying to see if he'll be a repeat customer. Not really. I've lived here all my life, but went on a training trip about 3.5 years ago. Dare I say I'm your favorite customer? Naruto said, smiling on the inside. Tucci then looked at him carefully and noted the things that he might be able to recognize the person who claims to be his favorite customer. He noted the blue eyes and the blonde hair with red tips. Now if you take away the tips he would look like Naruto. Then his eyes went wide when realization hit him and he stuttered, Nah, Naruto. Naruto smiled when Tucci was finally able to recognize him in the flesh. Old man. Said Naruto with an eye smile eerily familiar to a certain copy nin. Am then came in with the ramen and put the food in front of him and was about to leave when her father said, Guess what Am, our favorite customer came back after a long time away. Am looked at him with a questioning look and said, Where is he, Otu-san? Tucci pointed at Naruto who had just finished eating his ramen and looked at them before cheekily saying, Yo, how you doing Am-chan? Am blushed at the nickname, even though Naruto used to call her that before. Is that you, Naruto-kun? Getting a nod from him. Am ran over to him and gave him a hug. After few seconds she let him go to look at him and asked, So Naruto-kun, what have you been doing for the past years? Besides training and traveling, nothing much. How about you guys, how is the business going? Asked as seriously concerned as he was the bulk of their business before he left. Well, better than before thanks to you. Said Am cheerfully while finishing up the ramen. What do you mean? Questioned a curious Naruto as he drooled slightly at the smell of the ramen. Shinobi would come more often than they used to, and they would mostly talked about Naruto-sama. It seems you've become quite famous around some shinobi. Said the old man with a broad smile. Naruto smiled that he was actually being recognized by at least some people. Now he decided that it was time to go, so he pushed his stool back and got up to leave, but not before saying it was nice seeing you guys again, but I have to go, so bye. As he dropped enough money to cover the meal 100 times over, with that he jumped on top of one of the houses. Come back soon, Naruto yelled Tucci as he collected all the money and a note that said the money was to cover all the money they missed out on while he was gone. Naruto waved his hand motioning that he will without looking back, then disappeared out of their sight. He was currently thinking about the red-eyed Kunoichi, who happened to catch his attention that particular day so long ago. He didn't know why, but something about her makes his heart soar. She was also the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Even in his journey he didn't see a woman like her, and believe it or not he saw a lot. Hell, most were chasing him, trying to bed him. He couldn't wait to see her again and perhaps ask her out on a date or something, though he was pretty sure that she wouldn't be accepting his offer if she knew how old he was though. Her name was a mystery to him, though he knew her alias as Konoha's Ice Queen. He would have to ask someone if they knew if she was seeing anyone at the moment before he even considered asking her out on a date. He was so lost in thoughts that he didn't even realize that he was in the middle of a training ground until a kunai was coming his way, and if he didn't tilt his head, he would have been a dead man, or most people would have been a dead man. He looked around to see who threw the kunai. He saw 4 people making their way toward him. There was a girl and 3 guys. She was wearing a pink sleeveless shirt and green ninja pants. She also had brown hair, and with her was a boy who could be mistaken for a girl because his hair was long. Judging by his eyes, Naruto could tell that he is a Hyuga. Behind them were 2 guys who freaked him out. They looked like clones of each other, except one was taller than the other one. The only other difference was that taller one had a jounin vest, while Mini-him had white wrappers around both his forearms. They both had same bowl cut and eyebrows that looked like black leeches. Omen. The girl interjected. My idiotic teammate suddenly decided to see if he could hit a target with a kunai, and it seems he totally missed. While giving a glare at the mini clone. Ah ha ha, you shouldn't be sorry. I was so caught up in my thoughts that I didn't even know where I was, and I still don't," said Naruto, feeling kind of embarrassed. Deciding to introduce herself to the tall blonde, she said, "I'm Tenten." She moved her hand forward to shake his, and he gladly accepted. Then she pointed to Hyuga and said, "That's Hyuga Niji who gave Naruto HNN, and the taller one is our sensei Mido guy, and the other is Rock Lee. We're Genin team number 9. Both of them gave him their trademark smile with sparkling teeth, which served to freak Naruto out even more. "Gosh, you must be a great ninja to be able to dodge my superior throwing skill. I must know the name of the person who is as youthful as me and Guy Sensei," yelled the mini clone while giving a thumb up. Naruto winced at loudness of his voice and sweat dropped when he heard mini clone talk about his superior skill, and so did his teammates. When he looked at both clones he saw them hugging each other and yelling, "Guy Sensei, Lee, Guy Sensei, Lee." And a sun rose, and now there were 2 suns in the sky, accompanied by crashing wave. While this was continuing, Naruto looked at Tenten and said, "Are they always like that?" His tone showed a hint of fear. Tenten sighed and answered, "You have no idea. This is nothing compared to their other antics. You know, you still haven't told us your name." "Right, sorry, my name Uzumaki Naruto. A pleasure to you," said Naruto while giving her a short bow. Tenten blushed a little at that since no one even bowed to her before. When Guy heard Naruto say his name, he stopped hugging Lee. He got up then ran to Naruto and stuttered with excitement, Did you say you are Uzumaki Naruto?" Well, his students were thinking what's so special about this guy that got their sensei this excited over. Yes," answered a scared Naruto seeing this guy's face. Then Guy's eyes went wide and he hurriedly took out a book which had a title called Autograph of Super Strong Allies and Rivals, and he opened it, then gave it to Naruto with a pen and said, "Naruto-sama, would you give me the pleasure of having your name in my precious book?" Naruto, unsure of what to do at the moment, said, "Yes, sure." Then opened the book and only saw a name in whole book, that of one Hada Kakashi. He then signed the book and after giving it back to Guy, before he disappeared so fast he left an afterimage for 3 seconds before it dissipated. "Sugoi, he was so fast I didn't even see him go," yelled Guy and his clone, while the other 2 had their jaw on the ground at the display of Naruto's speed. Tenten wanted to know just who that guy was, so she decided to just ask her sensei, "Guy Sensei, why are you so excited to see that guy? Also, why are you calling him Naruto-sama? He doesn't look any older than us." "My youthful students, we just had the pleasure to meet one of the strongest shinobi in the world. He is famed Fenikusu Sannin of Konoha who gained the title at the age of 12 and now he should be around 15 years of age," explained Guy in an excited voice while looking at the sky. When he looked at his students he saw their eyes as big as a saucer and had their jaw on the floor. He couldn't help but laugh at their expression since this was the same look he had when he heard Naruto became a Sannin. He thought that's impossible, stuttered Niji thinking fate was playing a cruel joke. "He's too young to be that strong," Tenten said. Niji also agreed to that though he couldn't voice it due to shock. "Believe it or not he is and he gained it through hard work," said Guy as he looked at Lee who had stars around his eyes before shouting out, "Yosh my youthful Lee, we will up your weights and training so you can one day become strong like Naruto-sama. Before that we will run 500 laps around Konoha for not recognizing our prestigious Sannin, and if we can't do that, we will do 5,000 push-up and if we..." "Alright, we get it, geez," yelled Tenten who had enough of the 2 idiots. She then started walking with Niji, while both were thinking how it was possible for someone so young to be so powerful. Tenten also thought he was cute with his flaming hair, even though she couldn't see his face, because of that cursed mask I will see his whole face. I sweared. Thought a slightly obsessed Tenten even though she had no idea why she cared, but just shrugged it off. But Naruto was currently in his room in the Sarutobi estate laying face down on the bed. He was hoping to never meet those nut jobs again after today, sure they seemed like great people, it's just that they were a bit eccentric for him to take. He was also wondering what tomorrow would have in store for him, and with that he drifted off to sleep. Chapter 6. Important note, please read I have changed Naruto's age. Instead of starting his training at the age of 3, now it's 4 and instead of 7 years time skip it will be 8. So he will be 12 by the time he fights Jiraiya. He will be 15 after the 3 years time skip instead of 2. Age is the only thing that changed. Sorry for being an idiot. Oh, and Kurenai will be about 20 to 21 years of age, so she won't be too old for Naruto to date. The next day Naruto woke up 6 o'clock in the morning and decided to get his daily training in, so he went to the private training ground in the Sarutobi estate. After 2 hours of Kenjutsu training Naruto decided to end it for the morning training. He freshened up and ate breakfast with everyone in the family. After that he got ready to go to the academy. Currently he was wearing black sweater with a picture of a phoenix on his left chest. He now put on his black pants and then put his cape and the forehead protector on, then put on his sword. He looked at himself in the mirror and in his opinion he looked good. Now to put on the mask, thought Naruto, and for 5 minutes he looked for it but couldn't find it anywhere. He went out of his room and saw Konohamaru wearing his shoes to get ready to go to the academy. "Hey Konohamaru, did you see my mask anywhere?" asked Naruto, and his question was answered when Konohamaru shook his head in a no. "Where did you put it last night, Nai-san?" Naruto thought for a second then said, "If I remember correctly, I put it next to my pillow before I went to sleep and now I can't find it and I also can't find the spare ones." "Why do you need it anyway?" "I mean, with that face you could get any girl you want and you will also have fangirls," said a confused Konohamaru who thought it would be so cool to have fangirls since he never had any. "That's why I need the mask. I don't want any fangirls because last time I got caught by them I was almost raped," said Naruto while shuddering at the memory of the time he was caught off guard by a herd of women. Konohamaru paled at the thought of being raped by women and felt sorry for his Nai-san. "Well Nai-san, I have to go to the academy or I will be late." With that Konohamaru left the room leaving. Naruto then proceeded to look for the mask, but after 10 minutes of looking he found nothing and he swore he would kick the person's ass that took his mask. Hokage office. The Hokage was going through the evil paperwork when he suddenly felt a shiver go up his spine, but he shrugged it off. At the moment he was thinking about how much fun he would have when Naruto will go out without his mask. He would have to finish his paperwork fast so he could watch him through the crystal ball. He then gave out a perverted giggle at the thought. Before going out the estate, Naruto prayed to whatever kami out there to not get raped by fangirls. It was one of those days when he wished he were an ugly person. He decided to go to the Hokage office to ask for the room number and he didn't really have much time before the academy started so he shoeshined to the Hokage's office. When he got there he saw the Hokage throw a crystal ball that was set in an academy room and then looked at him and said, "How may I help you today, Naruto?" Inside he was slightly scared thinking that Naruto might have found out that it was him who stole Naruto's mask. "Ah sensei, I need to know the room number for the graduating class," said Naruto and this made the Hokage sigh in relief, which made Naruto narrow his eyes, but shrugged it off as nothing. "The graduating class should be in room 311 and it already started about 5 minutes ago," said the Hokage. He then motioned for Naruto to come and see inside the crystal ball. Naruto then went over to look and saw a person coming with scar across his nose talking to the class. "Go to the room that has this teacher and you are in the right room since I know you won't going inside the academy without your mask on." Earning a nod from Naruto who was about to shush him out of the room and then realized. "How did you know I don't have the mask with me right now?" said Naruto with a narrowed eye. The Hokage was sweating under Naruto's gaze thinking he was caught, but he quickly came up with an excuse. "Ah you see, I know because you would never come out of the without your mask on even for a second," said the Hokage who was praying to Kami that Naruto takes his excuse. "Okay then, I will be leaving," said Naruto leaving a relived Hokage. "A while ago inside room 311. "Ino pig, get out of my way. I'm sitting next to Sasuke-kun." That was the shout of a girl with pink hair. "No way, forehead girl. I am sitting next to Sasuke-kun," shouted a girl with blonde hair that was in a ponytail. "DCH, so troublesome," intervened a kid who had black hair that was tied into a ponytail. His head looked like a pineapple. "Care to repeat that, pineapple head lazy bum," shouted both girls at the kid who spoke up. Sadly these were the nicknames he got because he was lazy and he had pineapple head. The fight between Sasuke's fangirls continued even when the sensei came into the room. The guys in the room shut up when they saw Iruka coming, while the fangirls were so caught up in their bickering that they didn't see him. Iruka walked over to his desk and put the paper down and waited few minutes for the Kenyachi to settle down. Then he got impatient since the girls didn't seem to notice him and was still up each other's throat. He then decided to raise his own voice and said, "Will you shut up and sit down in your seats?" Which got everyone's attention. "Good, now that I have your attention start to go over the team selection," said Iruka. But Naruto just appeared in front of the academy and quickly put a genjutsu on himself, then looked through some window before finally finding the class he was looking for. He then jumped through the window and hopped in the classroom. He doubted anyone in the class would notice him unless they are genjutsu specialist. The jutsu he used is an A rank jutsu. When he got inside the class, he saw the teacher about to announce the team. With Iruka, "Okay, Team 1 Team 7 under Hada Kakashi will be Uchiha Sasuke and Sakura Haruno. Under Hokage-sama's order they will join team with Team 8 under Yuhi Kurenai will Inyazuka Kiba, Aburame Shino and Hyuga Hinata. Next team, Iruka-sensei, how come we have to team up with them?" asked a kid with a dog on his head who was glaring at the Uchiha and Haruno. "Because Kiba, they are one member short, so Hokage-sama decided to join both teams," answered Iruka, which shut the boy up. "Now as I was saying, Team 10 under Saratobi Asuma will be Nara Shikamaru, Akamichi Chouji, and Yamanaka Ino. Getting complaints from Ino about why she is stuck with a fat ass and a lazy bum, while forehead girl is with her Sasuke-kun." She was about to say more when a glare from Iruka shut her up. One of her teammate mumbled troublesome while the other was munching on chips. Please wait patiently until you're down, but before he could finish 3 figures walked through the door. Among them were a woman and 2 men. Naruto looked to the door when he noticed 3 chakra signature coming toward the room. Then 2 men come in and behind them was a woman. He noticed the first person since it was Asuma. The next person he was pretty sure he saw somewhere but couldn't put a finger on it. This person's hit eye 8 covered up the left eye while the right eye was shown. He had silver hair that spiked upwards and slightly forwards. He had a mask that covered his face. It went from his neck all the way up to and over his nose. He had on your standard jounin vest that was green in color and had 6 pockets for scrolls and such in the front. He had blue ninja pants with bandages wrapping his ankles. He had his kunai and shuriken pouch on his left leg. Each hand had gloves on with a metal back on them. He also had blue ninja sandals. He was reading the same perverted book his sensei reads. The last person, the person that Naruto was waiting to meet. It was the woman he liked for some time now. She had black hair that was shoulder length and would curl slightly at the end, giving it a look of slight wildness. She had red eyes that stood out vastly. Her forehead protector was on her forehead. She had a weird dress sort of thing. It was more like bandages that were black and white, but it was a dress sort. It was made to have easy maneuverability. She had on normal shinobi sandals and the dress went down to her mid-thighs. She also had bandages on her hands that went to just before her elbows. Naruto's eyes went wide and a blush crept up to his face. Because of this he kind of lost control of his genjutsu. This was felt by Kurenai, who then put her hand in a seal and said, "Kai." This dispelled Naruto's genjutsu. Then he thought, crap, and he turned around to leave fast before anyone saw him when Kurenai yelled, "Matt." Hearing her angelic voice, Naruto froze in his step. He then put it behind his head and looked at her with a nervous smile and a blush. Kurenai saw the stranger turn and when he did her eyes went wide from shock and a blush crept up to her face, as did every other girl in the class, while the guys' students had a look of envy, except for Sasuke, Shino and Shikamaru. Some even had drool falling from their mouth. Kakashi and Iruka dropped whatever they had in their hand and in Kakashi's case it was his book. "That's the most beautiful man I've ever seen." Or OMG. He is so hot. Were the thoughts of fangirls, that is of course, except Sakura who thought her Sasuke-kun looked way better. Kakashi, Iruka and Kurenai had one thought in their mind, Yondaime-sama Minato-sensei. As for Asuma, he already got over the shock when he saw Naruto at the house and now he had a smirk on his face. "See sensei, is that you?" asked a shocked beyond belief Kakashi. "Hey, what are you talking about?" asked a not so confused Naruto who looked at Kakashi then Kurenai and blushed again, which was noticed by Asuma, who decided to use it on Naruto later. "Oh no, who are you?" asked Kurenai, whose blush intensified by a little. Kakashi and Iruka still haven't gotten over their initial shock. Naruto walks over to her and said, "Ah, Uzumaki Naruto, a pleasure to meet you." He takes her right hand and kisses it. This time her blush skyrocketed and some of the girls fainted while others were pissed at Kurenai for getting a kiss from such a hot guy. "Nah, Naruto-sama, what are you doing here?" interjected Kakashi while he, Kurenai and Iruka were thinking that he looked so much like him. When Kakashi added Sama to Naruto's name, every student in the class gave him a questioning look and when the Inyazuka was about to ask why, he was inferred by a girl who shouted, "Hey, what the hell do you think you are doing spying on us, you freak?" Everyone turned their head to the voice and they saw the pink-haired girl. "Sakura, show him some respect," shouted Iruka, which scared her a little because Iruka never yelled at anyone like that. Sakura in a shaky voice said, "How come Iruka-sensei? He was spying on us and I never saw him in Konoha, so he may be a spy from other village, so I thought." "You thought wrong, Sakura, he is not a spy. He is the Phoenix Sannin of Konoha," explained Kakashi, getting collective gasp from the students that was heard throughout the classroom. They learned about the 3 fearsome legendary ninjas and here was a Sannin standing right in front of them, even if he wasn't mentioned in the book, and what was more amazing was that he didn't look any older than them. "Nani? That's impossible. You have got to be lying, right sensei?" half stammered and half asked Kiba to Iruka. "No Kiba, it's true. He is the first person to ever reach cage level at the age of 12, so in other words, he became a Sannin when he was 12 and then left Konoha for about 3 years," said Iruka, making the whole class speechless to hear of such amazing feat except Sasuke, who balled his fist in anger at hearing someone besting him, an elite Uchiha. He was supposed to be the strongest and here was a person who surpassed him. He swore that he would find out the secret of his power, then take it from him and make it his own. Inside his sick little mind, the chibi Sasuke gave out an evil laugh. "Hey, why don't you prove to us that you are a Sannin, because we don't believe it," yelled Sasuke. Everyone in the class was surprised by Sasuke's outburst because he never spoke louder than Shino, who basically never talks unless necessary, and Uchihas never spoke loud. As for Sasuke, he wanted to see if Naruto is as strong as Iruka said, and if he is then maybe he could teach Sasuke so he could kill his brother. Naruto looked at the Uchiha and sent out a little killer intent that made him almost wet his pants. Since it was directed at him only so no other students felt it. "I don't have to prove anything to you, fool," said Naruto coldly that sent shiver up everyone's spine. "Ah no, Naruto-sama, would you like to introduce yourself to the class and maybe tell us your likes and dislikes?" asked Iruka, hoping that Naruto wouldn't kill one of his students. Naruto gave him a nod and went in front of the class. "Well, let's see, my name is Uzumaki Naruto. My likes are ramen though not as much as I used to, also a certain beautiful jounin and creating new techniques." Everyone in the classroom raised an eyebrow when he said he liked a jounin, and Naruto saw the looks but decided to continue. "My dislikes are arrogant people and people who hate someone for thing they have no control over. My dream? Currently I don't have one as of right now, but maybe someday I will. Naruto-sama, can you tell us why you are called the Phoenix Sannin?" asked Ino while using her puppy eye jutsu on Naruto. Naruto looked at the class and saw that they had a look of anxious. He then looked at the academy teacher and the jounins and saw that they had the same expression on their faces except Kakashi. He really couldn't tell due to the mask covering his face. He thought for a second then said, "How about I show you instead of explaining some boring stuff?" making some of the students to break out into loud cheers in hopes of seeing something really cool. Naruto stepped out of the classroom as everyone followed him to the academy training ground. He slowly walked to the middle of the field while everyone else stayed on the sideline. Naruto rolled up his left sleeve before revealing a tattoo in the shape of an orange bird. It covered his whole forearm with its wings in a position like it was about to take off as its tails was wrapped around Naruto's arm. Biting his thumb, Naruto smeared the blood on the tattoo, then smirked as suddenly in a puff of orange fire, a flaming bird slightly taller than Naruto himself appeared out of nowhere. All those present were speechless at the beauty of the summon. Over 10 feet tall stood right next to the blonde. Its feathers were black as night with an orange tinge to the ends, making it look like the flames were on fire. Its eyes, which were surveying the field, were a brilliant gold with dancing flames in the center of each. It snorted in annoyance causing its nostrils to flare black flames out of the end of its crimson beak. Naruto saw the look on their faces, which made him scratch the back of his head and give out a nervous chuckle, then looked at his summon's annoyed face and said, "Sorry Raitsu, I needed to demonstrate to the academy students why I am called the Phoenikusu Sannin." Naruto apologized to the bird standing next to him. Before anyone could say anything, Sasuke came up to Naruto and said, "I demand that you teach me your jutsus." In a demanding tone, jealous at the fact that Naruto was able to summon something like that and without seals. Sasuke knew that a jutsu like that is at least jounin level, and for him to use it without breaking a sweat means that he is strong. Not that Sasuke would admit it. Naruto raised an eyebrow and replied, Did you say something Uchiha-san?" making Sasuke ball his fist in anger thinking Naruto was mocking him. He then asked the question again, only louder this time. "I said teach me how to do that and your other jutsus. I can't teach it to you because you need to sign a contract with the Phoenix," said Naruto slightly annoyed. Then give me your contract so I can show those birds what a true shinobi of an elite clan do," Sasuke said with arrogance in his voice while looking at Naruto then the bird. For a second Raitsu's glowed brightly before he disappeared and reappeared on top of Sasuke, who was pinned to the ground with his throat between Raitsu's right foot talons, ready to slit at any moment. Raitsu then said, "An imbecile with a darkened soul such as yours could never hope of becoming a summoner of the mighty Phoenix clan." In an angered tone. Naruto seeing an angry Raitsu said, "Raitsu that's enough. I had no intention of allowing someone so unworthy summon your clan." In a firm tone before Raitsu nods and disperses. Sasuke who was scared slowly got up and dusted off his clothes. "Fine, I don't need that stupid summon anyway. So to make up for that, teach me your other jutsus," he demanded with a glare. "Why should I teach you anything?" asked Naruto with a bit of malice in his voice at being demanded something by a mere genin. "Because I have to get strong enough to kill a man." Causing every male and some female students to now back away from Sasuke while the other fangirls thought he was cool, especially Sakura. And who might that man be?" questioned Naruto even though he could guess who that man is. "None of your business, so just teach me the jutsu," demanded Sasuke in a loud voice. He was currently getting at his limit. "Let me think about that," said Naruto while going into thinking pose. Sasuke had a hopeful look on his face and inside he was devising the fall of his brother with this jutsu. Then couple of seconds later Naruto looked at Sasuke, "How about no?" answered Naruto calmly. Hearing this Sasuke bowled his fist hard enough to draw a little blood. Everyone on the side was getting a little worried at what Sasuke might do since Naruto rejected to teach him. Kakashi was about to go and calm Sasuke down when he yelled, "Why won't you teach me?" as he gritted his teeth hard. Naruto's simple answer was, "Because I don't like you." With that he turned to leave. He got in few steps, then felt a puny killer intent before he heard Kaiten. "Gakakyu no Jutsu, fire release. Great fireball technique." When he turned around he saw a fireball coming toward After hearing Naruto's answer, Sasuke being angry was an understatement. He was furious. How dare a nobody like Naruto treat him and Uchiha like he was nothing. For that he is going to pay, and with that in mind Sasuke started to seals. On the sideline everyone's eyes went wide when they saw Sasuke start to seals for a Kaiten jutsu. People just froze when they saw him prepare to attack a sannin. Kakashi was got out of his shocked state and was about to reach for Sasuke to stop him from finishing the last seal, but he was too late. When Sasuke finished the jutsu and launched it toward Naruto, he saw Naruto stop in his track and look back to see the upcoming fireball. Naruto turned around to see a giant fireball heading his way. He suddenly smirked and just stood there, not even moving an inch, like he didn't see anything coming his way. People on the sideline were confused by his action. Here was a fireball coming Naruto's way and he is just standing there. Everyone stayed quiet until Kurina yelled out, "Naruto-kun. Move out of the way." Without even thinking she put both her hand, hoping that no one heard her say it. That hope went down the drain when she saw some jounins and some students looked at her. She knew it was loud enough for everyone to hear, but a girl can always hope, can't she? Naruto heard her and had a blush on his face, but he didn't have time to think about that since he had the foolish Uchiha to deal with at the moment. The fireball impacted with Naruto and upon impact, sound of explosion resonated throughout the area. Everyone was anxiously waiting for the dust and smoke to clear up so they could see the result of the impact. Ha ha ha, some sannin he is. He is dead after being hit by one of my jutsu. It goes to show that Uchiha's will always be superior to any others. Said Sasuke, giving out an evil laugh that would make the former snake sannin proud, but he soon stopped laughing when heard someone give out a chuckle from inside the smoke. Then he saw an outline of red flames around a figure but couldn't make it out clearly because of the smoke. It started to clear up and in all glory stood the Phoenix Sannin, who had red flames around him that looked like a barrier and oddly like armor. All the students' jaw on the ground at seeing Naruto standing there without even a scratch on him, while the academy teachers went wide-eyed. Kakashi and Asuma was pretty sure Naruto would survive a jutsu delivered by an academy student even if the person was rookie of the year or he wouldn't be much of a sannin. Naruto looked at Sasuke and a smile appeared on his lips. I think I will taunt him some to see how much he can handle, though I don't think it will be much since he is an Uchiha and an Avenger at that. Thought Naruto with a smirk. Sasuke-chan, you actually thought that you puny Uchiha's jutsu would hurt me. TSK, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. At the level you are, a million of those fire jutsu wouldn't hurt me. Said Naruto in a mocking tone while a devious smile formed on his lips, seeing how it affected the Uchiha. On the sideline, people were snickering at the addition of Chan to Sasuke's name and the fact that Uchiha being called weak. That is, except his fangirls, who were kind of pissed that this person had the nerve to call their beautiful Sasuke-kun weak. They didn't mind the chant since it made him sound kawaii. Sasuke was seething at being called weak. He would show this person how strong an Uchiha is, even if it means that he had to kill him. Which shouldn't be too hard considering he is from a prestigious clan. Sasuke then took out several kunes from his pouch and then said, I want to see how you block this. Matt. Sasuke tried to yell, but stopped when he saw Naruto raise a hand and motion for him not say anything and to let Sasuke do whatever he wanted. But. Iruka stammered. It's okay, Iruka-san. It seems your student has a lot of anger in himself, so I simply want him try and take out that anger on me. That is if he can. Said Naruto while smiling, which got him a worried nod from Iruka. Well, Uchiha, what are you waiting for? I will only use one finger against you, that should make it easier for you to beat me, and I will also teach you that jutsu you wanted if you could make me bleed. Said Naruto, getting a wide smirk from Sasuke and yells of encouragement from his fangirls. The loudest one was the girl with pink hair who yelled, "Go Sasuke-kun, kick his ass. I know you can do it since no one in our age group is stronger than you." Trying to encourage him more. At this, the Jounins and the Chunin's teachers gave her a look that say, "Are you stupid?" also earned her sweat drop from some of the students. Naruto chuckled at what she said and looked straight at Sasuke, then said, "Well, you sure have some loyal fangirls, don't you?" Getting a tick on Sasuke's head. "What are you waiting for, a card with invitation to attack me?" Said Naruto. Sasuke then threw several kunes at Naruto, which was evaded by him easily. Sasuke, seeing his kunai was evaded, ran up to Naruto with a single kunai in his hand, and when he got there he took a swipe at Naruto across his chest in a vertical line. Time slowed down for everyone as they saw the kunai about to make contact with Naruto's chest, but it stopped by something. They couldn't see clearly, but when they looked closely what they saw made everyone either have their jaw on the ground or go wide-eyed. Everyone rubbed his or her eyes, then looked at Naruto and Sasuke again to confirm if they were just imagining things. Then they saw the same scenario. Naruto had just stopped Sasuke's attack with only his index finger, which was surrounded by black lightning that made faint crackling sound. And then Nani? stuttered Sasuke at seeing his attack was just blocked by one finger, but he was even more surprised when Naruto started to push the kunai away with amazing strength. Once Naruto pushed away the kunai several inches from his body, he looked Sasuke in the eye and said, "With that kind of strength, you'll never be able to pierce through this electricity and also never be able to kill the person you mentioned, and the path you choose will never give you power. Remember that." But that Naruto pulled his hand back and with lightning fast speed, he plunged his index finger into Sasuke's shoulder blade. Sasuke at this point froze when he felt something go inside his body. Then he felt sudden jolts of pain coursing throughout his body like he had been hit all over. He gritted his teeth from the pain and this kept him from screaming out for few seconds, but he couldn't take it anymore so he screamed out as loud as he can. He then fainted from the excruciating pain, but not before hearing Naruto whisper, "Shigen." On the sideline girls had their hand over their mouth and the boys had a frightened look on their face from the power Naruto showed. I had so much fun beating up Sasuke and I am sorry for doing that to him if there is any Sasuke fan. But I honestly hate him a lot. Suddenly Naruto caught someone running up to Sasuke and when he looked to see whom it is, he saw the girl with pink hair who was supposed to be Sasuke's teammate along with teammate. She went up to Sasuke and then cradled him, then looked at Naruto and shouted, "What the did you do to my Sasuke-kun, yo you demon?" Naruto froze when he heard her say that, including everyone that knew about his secret. Flashbacks of the past started to flood Naruto's mind and he subconsciously started to release massive amount of killer intent that made most of the genin pass out and the one that were conscious were on their feet shaking like madman. Even the experienced jounins were sweating under the pressure of the killing intent. When Naruto realized that he was releasing killer intent he immediately stopped. Looking around he saw conscious people were breathing heavily. He gave everyone an apologetic look and said, "Gomen, Minasan." Earning a faint nod from some of them. Naruto looked at Sakura and saw a look of fear in her eyes then said, "You are lucky that I am happy today." Making everyone make a mental note to never piss him off. If this was him happy then they never wanted to see him pissed. Naruto looked at Kakashi and scratched the back of his head in embarrassment, "Sorry nah, Kakashi-san. I guess you'll have to postpone your exam since Uchiha probably won't wake up for another day or two and I think you should try to make him give up on that revenge thing." Giving Kakashi an awkward smile. Kakashi nodded at Naruto's statement. He too thought that Sasuke would hurt himself if he doesn't give up on killing his brother. "Well, I guess I will be going now. Jana." With that Naruto shoeshined out of the training ground since he didn't want to surprise anyone anymore today. One thought passed everyone's mind and that was, what power? Kuzo? That demon brat ruined my plan. Now I will probably have to wait a little longer before I could have the Uchiha steal the forbidden scroll. But then again I think this little fight between them will drive Sasuke's desire to get stronger and I could use that to my advantage. Thought a man in Chunin jacket with white hair. He had a devious smile on his face while he was thinking of the best ways to succeed in his plan. "Hokage Tower, don't you think you went a little overboard with poking your finger in his shoulder, Naruto?" asked the Hokage. "Oh, come on sensei, you can't possibly tell me that you wouldn't do the same if you were in my shoes. I personally think he deserved it and besides that will teach him to never underestimate his opponent and also attack someone in a fit of rage whom is most likely stronger than him," interjected Naruto. "But still you didn't have to make him pass out. Kami knows when he is going to wake up and from the look on his face, I would say it would take a while," said Sarutobi while inhaling deadly smoke from his pipe. Naruto shrugged at what his sensei said. "Well, aside from the Uchiha, what did you think of the other clan heirs?" questioned a curious Hokage who wanted opinion of his pupil. It seemed the Hyuga heir is shy and seems to lack confidence in herself. The Inuzuka brat seemed loud. Aburam is really quiet and that's to be expected. Nara is lazy like everyone in his family. Earning a chuckle from the Hokage. He then motioned for Naruto to continue. Akimichi seemed to eat a lot of chips. Yamanaka is a fangirl of the Uchiha like the Haruno. Overall I would say they all have a lot potential to become great shinobis in the future if they put their mind to it," Naruto said while he was in his thinking pose. Hokage nodded at Naruto's view on everyone. "Alright Naruto, I will see you at the house later. Now I have to finish my paperwork and because of the injury you gave Sasuke, I will probably have more coming in soon," said an annoyed Hokage. Naruto seeing this said, "Why don't you use Kage Bunshin to do the work?" Making Sarutobi's eyes become as big as a saucer. He then started to bang his head with the desk mumbling, "Why didn't he think of that?" over and over again. Naruto chuckled when he saw his sensei acting like an idiot. He decided to leave the old man alone for the time being, so he walked out the door. When he walked out of the room, he saw the female secretary of the Hokage with a huge blush on her face while looking at him. He ignored her stare and simply walked out of the building. Unknown area in Konoha. In a dark room two figures could be barely seen. One was sitting on a chair while the other one was about 10 feet in front of him kneeling down. Report. demanded the person on the chair, and by the sound of his voice he seemed at least around 60 years of age. Uzumaki Naruto, the Phoenix Sannin of Konoha has returned to the village yesterday, sir. Stated the figure in front of him. I see. What of the situation in Odo? The Odokage has agreed on our terms and he will help us carry out your plan, that is if we help him reach his goal. Alright, you are dismissed. Hi, Danzo-sama. With that the person on the floor disappeared. Sarutobi, you will regret not giving me the Kyuubi brat. Said Danzo to himself while laughing out manically, which was heard throughout the room. It has been 2 days since the day Sasuke got hospitalized by Naruto, who happened to have enjoyed putting the Uchiha down. Since that day Naruto started hoping that he would get more chances to put the Uchiha in his place and destroy his mountain-size ego. But he didn't have time to think about that. Naruto's current problem was fangirls. For the past 2 days Naruto had been training harder than he usually did since he didn't really have anything besides that to do. He went out to look for Kurenai but couldn't find her due to being chased by fangirls, and that was kind of the reason he didn't go outside much. Yesterday some female shinobi practically raped him. It seemed like they gain extra strength when they are hunting down a hot guy like savages, and he forgot to take off the gravity weights. He wasn't able to buy any masks since he would get jumped when he would set his foot outside the Sarutobi mansion. Naruto now really didn't see the point of buying a mask since most people already saw his face and henge didn't seem to work either. So the constant training wore him out. Hokage office. At the moment Naruto was talking to the Hokage about the suspicious activities that have been going on around the border of Suna. There seemed to be more Suna ninjas that were patrolling the area than there usually were, and some foreign ninjas were seen going in and out of Suna at late hours. Normally this wouldn't really concern Naruto, but the fact that there seemed to be a few Konoha Anbu sneaking around as well seemed a little off, and when Naruto asked the Hokage if he assigned any mission, but the Hokage didn't recall any memory of sending any ninja there in the past few months. So where have you heard this news, Naruto? Asked a curious Hokage. Ah, sensei, I have my own spy network like Jiraiya, but they might not be as good as his. Still they are good enough to know these kinds of things. And they are getting better at collecting information without being found out. Answered Naruto. So are you going to send anyone to go and investigate? Asked Naruto. Sarutobi took a puff out of his pipe and said, I want you to go and check this out, Naruto. Nani? Why me? You could send some Anbu to check it out. Said an annoyed Naruto. Well, more than one person could be found out easily, and there are not many available jounin to send, besides you really have nothing to do in Konoha, and you could get away from your fangirls. You are also the strongest person in the village, so it would be a waste to not use your skill, said the Hokage with pride and hoping that Naruto would take the bait. And he was sure Naruto did when he saw a wide-eyed look from Naruto. So will you be taking this mission? Asked the Hokage. Hi. Answered Naruto with some reluctance. Well then I want you to leave in 2 days. Is that enough time for you to be prepared? The Hokage earned a nod from Naruto. If that's all you need, I will be going to see someone. Naruto then shoeshined out of Hokage's office. When Sarutobi saw Naruto left he summoned a Kage Bushin and made it do the paperwork while he was reading Jiraiya's research. Ah, how I wish I was young enough to do all these things. Thought the Hokage with a perverted smile on his face. But Naruto was walking outside with a smile on his face, thinking that today would be a really good day. So far he didn't have any fangirls chasing him, which was a blessing in itself. He could see young women drooling at the sight of him and men had envious look on their face since Naruto was getting a lot of attention from the ladies. He didn't really mind people giving him this look as long as they didn't chase after him or giving him a look of hatred, which was present in some people. He was currently looking for one person, and that was the beautiful red-eyed woman. He didn't really know where to look for her, so he was just wandering around hoping that he would run into her somehow, but that would have to wait for now. Naruto suddenly felt a feeling of dread go up his spine. It was the feeling he got whenever his fangirls were nearby. My fangirl sense is tingling. Thought Naruto. So trusting his instinct, he slowly looked back and froze. Behind him he saw at least 100 fangirls, and most of them were shinobi. They had signs up which had, Naruto-sama marry me or I want to bear your children Naruto-sama and all sorts of other things written on it. Kasa, why did they have to come right now? I have to get away from them somehow and fast. But how? Thought Naruto for a second and then an idea hit him. Ano, how are you guys doing? Asked Naruto to the group in front of him. When he asked them that most of the girls had hearts in their eyes, thinking his voice was angelic. Ah, Naruto-sama is talking to me. What should I do? Said one girl aloud earning her glares from other fangirls. Naruto thinking it was time to carry out his plan pointed to the back of the group and yelled, Nani? What the hell is that behind you ladies? Shouted Naruto. Where? Yelled all the girls and looked to where he was pointing. When they looked back and saw nothing, one girl said, but Naruto-sama, there's nothing there. They looked to see Naruto, but he was nowhere in front of them. Then they saw him about 400 to 500 feet away from them. Kuzo. He tricked us. Yelled one girl with Chunin vest. Sugoi. Naruto-sama is so smart. Yelled another girl. She said it loud enough for Naruto to hear, which made him sweat drop. I hope my plan works or I am loyally screwed. Thought Naruto. Well girls, what are you waiting for? Let's chase after him. Yelled the girl in the front, and with that everyone gave chase. Naruto at this point started to run faster, thinking that no one would be able to keep up with him. How wrong he was. After couple of minutes of running, Naruto looked back to see if there were any girls behind him, and when he couldn't see anyone he sighed in relief. That was short-lived when he felt the same dreaded feeling. This time, without even looking back, he started running again. He could hear screams of girls calling out to him. He ran at any direction he could find. He finally put some distance between him and the fangirls, but he knew they would eventually find him. "Hey, where the hell am I?" said Naruto out loud. He was pretty sure he was lost again like 3 days ago, but this place seemed familiar to him, and he confirmed it when he saw the two people that freaked him out even more than his fangirls. It was the clones. With them was the girl Tenten, if he recalled correctly, and the Hyuga. Naruto started to back away from them, hoping to not get noticed, but that went through the drain when he saw everyone looking at him. Tenten was blushing to point where her head seemed to explode any moment now. I went wide-eyed, and his other two students were confused as to who this person is. Yandame-sama. Guy whispered. Damn, he is so hot. Way hotter than Niji. This thought went through Tenten's head as she drooled a bit while staring at the man in front of her. How dare that guy wear those flashy clothes? It should be me who gets to wear them. Thought a jealous Niji as he compared outfits. Oh no, who are you? Asked a blushing Tenten, ignoring the way the man looked at them like they were crazy. Hey, I believe that I introduced myself about 4 days ago. Said Naruto, because he could have sworn he already introduced himself. Naruto-sama. Is that you? Yelled a surprised Guy. Why yeah. Naruto stuttered as he was still unused to Guy's antics. That piece of hunk is him. Thought Tenten. She saw her sensei and her teammate giving her weird look, and Naruto had an amused look on his face. I said that out loud, didn't I? Said an embarrassed Tenten. Everyone gave her a nod and she slapped her forehead. Naruto smiled at her slyly, then said, I'm flattered that you think of me that way, Ten-chan. This made her blush even more. SS shut up. Stuttered Tenten, making Naruto chuckle. Yosh, Naruto-sama, my second eternal rival. I will run 500 laps around Konoha for not recognizing Yaogain and Lee. This is your punishment too. Yelled Guy. Yosh. Guy-sensei, your flames of youth burn brighter than ever, interjected Guy's prestigious student Lee. When did I become your rival? Asked a scared Naruto. Guy then takes out a book, and when Naruto saw it his eyes went wide. It was the same book he signed last time he met Guy. You and Kakashi are my eternal rivals. Boasted Guy like it was something to be proud of. Do you have to yell out everything you say, Guy-san? Naruto questioned as he covered his ears. This is a way to bring out my flames of youth to make it shine brighter than ever, Naruto-sama. Shouted Guy while striking his patented good guy pose. Guy-sensei. Yelled his clone. Lee. They started hugging each other. Guy-sensei. A crashing wave suddenly appeared out of nowhere, and also a bright orange sun was setting in the distance. Tenten and Niji were groaning at their antics. They having long since gotten used to Guy and his clone acting like this every day. Kakashi and Naruto seemed to make the clones even more excited, and that they were not used to. Naruto was forming a plan to get away from these freaks, but he was brought out of his thought when he heard girls screaming his name from distant. Oh great. Now I have to get away from these two and my fangirls. Thought Naruto. What the hell is that, Niji? Tenten asked her teammate while looking behind Naruto. Niji then followed her side and saw a cloud of dust heading their way, and not knowing what it is, he shrugged. Man, why the hell am I the only one in these kinds of situation, Naruto wondered. Then an idea hit him right in the head and an evil smile from on his lips. Tenten and Niji saw this and started to back away from Naruto to not get involved in whatever plan he is cooking up in his head. Naruto walked up to both Guy and Lee and smacked them both upside the head, stopping the screams of Guy-sensei and Lee enough already. When Naruto said that, both clones settled down and looked at Naruto, but the cloud of dust heading Naruto's way caught their eyes. Lee put his right hand over his eyes to get a better look, but still could, so he did the only thing he could. He yelled, Nande Akir. An. I hope everyone knows what that means. I am not Japanese, so I don't really know how to spell it, sorry. Yes, Lee-san, I will be getting to that. Said Naruto. Now he got the full attention of the duplicates. Now, what you see there, my YY youthful friends, are unyouthful women who have yet to reach their summertime Y-youth. Stuttered a disgusted Naruto. As much as Naruto hated to say these words, he had to say it if he wanted to get out of this place alive. Yosh. Yelled Guy and Lee, making Naruto wince in pain. He felt like his eardrum broke, but that's not the only thing that will break if he stays here for too long. As my eternal rival, I want you to bring back the youth of these women, which I failed to do, and if you succeed in this matter, we'll have more youthful people in Konoha," said Naruto, sugarcoating it. He knew that Guy would fall for this youthfulness crap. "Yosh. My eternal rival, the beautiful green beast of Konoha, will spread youthfulness to all of Konoha one day. First, I will start with these youthful women," yelled an enthusiastic Guy. Why yeah. Well, I wish you best of luck. Now onward you go, and may you succeed in teaching these women the way of youth," said Naruto, while thinking that these images of him talking about youth might never go away. Then he saw Guy and Lee start to run toward his fangirls while yelling nonsense. "Bakas," Naruto mumbled with a smile on his face. "Well, Ten-san, Hyuga-sen, I will see you later, but I hope never to see those two again," interjected Naruto and ran off the other direction. "If Guy and Lee can't scar them for life, then I don't know what will," thought Naruto while running. He smiled when he heard screams of "AHH, these eyebrows are alive, or get away from us freaks." "He just officially signed his death warrant, didn't he?" asked Tenten with a sigh. "Yep, that baka has no idea what he has gotten himself into by admitting Guy-sensei as his rival," said a smirking Niji, only to get over the head by his teammate. "What the hell was that for?" asked Niji annoyingly. "Don't call the poor gorgeous Guy a baka, you baka," retorted Tenten, feeling sorry for Naruto for when he meets Guy and Lee in the future. "Whatever," Niji mumbled. With Naruto had finally come to a stop and was huffing like he had just fought two Jiraiyas at the same time. He was staring at the ground and trying to catch his breath. "Naruto-sama, why do you look so tired?" said a female with angelic voice. Naruto thought he recognized the voice, but couldn't pinpoint whom it is. So finally catching his breath, Naruto looked up to see a familiar that made him blush. It was the object of his affection, Yuhi Kurenai. Naruto straightened up and gave out a nervous chuckle as he was scratching the back of his head. He then decided to answer her question. Naruto gave a sheepish grin. "You see, Kurenai-san, I was running away from my fangirls and then ran into Guy and his team. So in order to escape from them, I used Guy to scare away the fangirl and then ran away so I don't have to deal with Guy and his clone afterward. And that's why I am tired." Kurenai had an amused look on her face, making a mental note that even a Hokage-level shinobi will tire out after their confrontation with fangirls and Guy. "That was quite a story, Naruto-sama," said Kurenai while giving out a small giggle, which Naruto found to be really cute. To him, everything about her is exotic. Those red eyes, that face, and her luscious lips. He just wanted to kiss it, and it was getting harder to not give in to the temptation when he saw her lips moving. Naruto was broken out of his trance when he felt someone touch his shoulder. He traced it back to the source and saw Kurenai looking at him with a worried look on her face and an almost unnoticeable blush. Sorry, I zoned out for a minute. Didn't mean to worry you there," apologized Naruto, earning a nod of understanding from Genjutsu Mistress. "So Kurenai-san, are you going anywhere in particular?" "Well, I was informed by Kakashi that Sasuke just got released from the hospital today and that I was to inform my team to meet at a certain place to introduce ourselves. After that I am going to grab lunch," stated Kurenai. Before Naruto could say anything to that, her stomach decided to protest, making Kurenai blush in embarrassment and Naruto chuckle in amusement. "Well, I see your stomach doesn't want to wait for you to find your students. Since I was already heading that way to get some food, you want to join me?" "My treat?" asked Naruto with hope, but he couldn't let it show in front of her. Kurenai blushed at the thought of eating lunch with Naruto, and without even thinking about her answer, she blurted out, "Why you mean like a t.e." For that she mentally berated herself, and Chibi Kurenai shouted, "Who the hell are you, Hinata?" Naruto had a shocked look on his face. He never thought she would actually ask him anything like that. He would have thought that someone as beautiful as her would be taken by now, but by the fact that she even asked about a date might mean that she is single and may be interested in her. At least that's what he hoped. Naruto's nervousness kicked in, so he gave her an awkward smile and said, "Well, I didn't say anything about a date, but if you want we could make it a date." Kurenai, not trusting her voice at this point, just gave Naruto a slow nod. "Then if you will, Kurenai-san. I am not familiar with good restaurants in Konoha." "Hi." With that, Kurenai started to walk toward one of her favorite place to eat with Naruto beside her. She would occasionally take a peek at Naruto, then blush a little. She could see a lot of eyes were on Naruto and her. Majority of the women had a look of jealousy, while the man population looked like they were about to murder him. Naruto and Kurenai had to ignore these looks all the way to the restaurant. When they got to the door, both sighed in relief and went in, only to have everyone look at them with a look of interest, but after couple of seconds, everyone went back to what they were doing and some whispered among themselves about Naruto. Naruto and Kurenai passed several tables to one that was unoccupied. Naruto walked ahead of Kurenai and pulled out the chair and motioned for Kurenai to sit. Kurenai smiled at Naruto, seeing his polite side, since most men would just sit down and not do what Naruto did. When Naruto saw her take the seat, he went to the other side of the table and took his. After few seconds, a waiter came back with a pair of menus, which he gave to them. He stood with a notepad and pen ready to take their order. Naruto looked down the menu at the rather marvelous list of foods. After a minute the waiter looked at Kurenai and asked, "What would madam wish to order?" I would like to get tempura, please," Kurenai requested. The waiter scribbled it down and turned to Naruto. "And for you, sir?" The waiter asked with a bit of malice in his voice which was noticed by both Naruto and Kurenai. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the waiter and said, "Yakitori and one of your finest sake please." The waiter scribbled it down and was about to leave, but stopped when he felt a hand on his shoulder. He looked back and saw that demon was standing, and then leaned into his ear to whisper something that made his eyes go wide. He then gave Naruto a scared nod and left. Kurenai looked at Naruto as he sat down and then asked, "What did you tell him to scare him so much?" It wasn't a demand but a question of curiosity. Naruto looked at her, smiled sadly and said, "You know about my condition, right?" Seeing Kurenai give him a nod he continued. "The way this waiter spoke to me, it was clear that he doesn't like me, so he would most likely have done something to my food. So I gave him a warning that if he did do anything, I would hunt him and his whole family down, then slaughter everyone though I wasn't really serious, but he didn't need to know that." Kurenai giggled at what Naruto said though she would probably be scared too if one of the sannin threatened her like that. Naruto smiled at her as the waiter came back with a small plate of spiced bread and a jug of water to occupy them over until their dishes arrived. They both ate the pieces of bread in silence. Naruto had to admit that these breads actually tasted better than he would have thought. Naruto poured himself a glass of water and so did Kurenai after him. Then they both started to make small talk about their life story, but nothing too private since they really don't know each other, just shared some small details. The waiter took that moment to arrive with their dishes. He placed both plates on the table in front of the person who ordered them and the left stopped in mid-step when Naruto muttered arigato, then continued to walk with a small smile on his lips. Kurenai was staring at Naruto with a slightly shocked look that he actually said thank you to the person that hates him, but she guessed that this might be one of his good point. He doesn't seem to hold any grudge toward the people that despised him. Then she saw Naruto unfolded the napkin next to him and she decided to do the same, but in her napkin, there were a pair of chopsticks. Itadakimasu. Both muttered and took the first bite of the food. For something so cheap, well at least for Naruto these foods were really good. Both of them savored the taste as they continued eating their dishes, but that soon came to a stop when Naruto saw some chewiness running at top speed and had a frantic look on their face. Deciding to find out what was going on, Naruto wiped his mouth and stood up. Kurenai looked at him with a confused look then asked, "What's wrong, Naruto-sama?" Making Naruto look at her. "I am sorry to cut our date short, but something seems to be going on in the village and I need to check it out," Naruto said while motioned for the waiter to give him the bill. The waiter came up to him and gave him the bill then left. "I wish to continue today's date sometime in the future if you want and please don't call me Naruto-sama because it makes me feel old." Kurenai gave Naruto a nod. "It doesn't look like anything big is going on so I hope you don't stop eating on my behalf, Kurenai-san." "Well Jana." Naruto then winked at her and left the restaurant, but not before paying the bill. Kurenai was blushing like crazy when Naruto winked at her and continued eating when he left. "Sorry I couldn't come up with anything else to cause I know Kurenai wouldn't stay there when village is a crisis." But Naruto, he was currently spading toward the Hokage Tower to get details on the situation, but before reaching there he ran in the same Chunin that he saw at the gate on the day of his return to Konoha. He stops the Chunin and asks him what was going on in the village. "Uchiha Brad has stolen the forbidden scroll from the Hokage-sama's office," said Katetsu. Naruto narrowed his eyes at that. How did a single genin manage to steal something so important from his office? Hokage-sama went home on his lunch break and that was when the Uchiha stole it. His secretary was found unconscious. "Suka, well you may return to what you were doing." Naruto dismissed Katetsu, then started to ponder how Sasuke knew where the scroll was. Either someone was working with him or he was planning this alone for some time now if he was to know the exact location of it. "I guess I will have to wait and see. Kukuku Uchiha, I have another chance to take you down a peg or two," thought Naruto. An evil smirk formed on his face, but quickly dismissed it and vanished to hunt Sasuke down. In a dark place, a pale man was seen walking down the hall when he felt scared. He thought, "Oh no, something bad is going to happen and I must relocate to one of my not-so-secret these days hideout." Couple of hours ago with Sasuke. Sasuke got out of the hospital about an hour ago and now he is wandering around the streets of Konoha thinking of ways to get stronger than Naruto, then surely he would be able to defeat his brother. So far he could come up with nothing, if only he had his Sharingan, he would be able to copy Naruto's jutsu and other ninjas. He was thinking that no matter how much he trains, he would never be able to beat Naruto or his brother. He needed to activate his Sharingan if he wanted to go up against them. Perhaps he could try to act like Naruto's best friend and have Naruto teach him, then he could simply kill Naruto and gain the last level of Sharingan. The Manjutsu Sharingan. "Oh Sasuke." shouted someone from behind him. Sasuke looked back to see who it was and saw his white-haired Academy Chunin sensei. His sensei was jogging toward him and seems a bit tired. He was most likely running for quite some time now, though not at top speed. When his sensei arrived in front of him, Sasuke looks at him and said, "What is it, Mizuki-sensei?" "I want to talk to you about something important," said Mizuki. Sasuke narrowed his eyes at that. What could be so important that Mizuki would waste Sasuke's valuable time? "If it's some crap about that fight I had with the dope, then forget about it," Sasuke said before turning around to leave, but what made stop was what the answer he got from Mizuki. "What if I could help you attain the power to defeat your brother?" said Mizuki with a sly smile, knowing that this would catch Sasuke's attention. Sasuke turned to Mizuki again and then frowned. "Don't joke with me, sensei. You yourself is a Chunin, so how are you supposed to give me power that I deserve?" "I am getting to that, Sasuke. See, there is this scroll in the Hokage office that has extremely powerful jutsus. All the previous Hokages put their best jutsu in that scroll, and if you could steal it and learn the jutsus, there would be no telling how powerful you would become," Mizuki explained. "And how do you suppose I steal it from Hokage's office? Hokage-sama goes home on his lunch break and leaves his wimpy secretary to watch his office, so you should have no problem if you decide to borrow it for a while," said Mizuki with a smile. "What do you get out of helping me, Mizuki-sensei?" Sasuke asked, not knowing his sensei's intention. Mizuki was sure that Sasuke would be completely in his trap if he decided to make Sasuke think that he is superior to everyone else, so he said, "Helping a loyal Uchiha is reward enough, Sasuke. I would have helped you a long time ago, but the Hokage forbid me from helping or giving you any pointer," Mizuki said with a slight disgust without showing it. Sasuke gritted his teeth when Mizuki said the last part, but he was proud that someone saw the greatness in him. Mizuki noticed this and knew that it worked. The fool had taken that bait, now the only thing to do was tell him the location of the scroll and where the best place to master strong jutsu. Then for the next hour both formulated plans to steal the forbidden scroll. Mizuki also said stuff about how Sasuke had the potential any ninja that Konoha had ever produced to boost Sasuke's ego, as if it wasn't already big enough. He also told Sasuke the location of the scroll and the time the Hokage leaves the office. "And that's the plan," finished Mizuki. Sasuke gave him a nod before standing up and leave. He, foolish Uchiha. Won't even know what hit him, thought Mizuki, and he too left the site to carry out his plan. Present time, Naruto has been searching for Sasuke for about 10 minutes now and couldn't even get a glimpse of him. Finally deciding not to waste any time, Naruto headed straight for the Hokage tower. He should be able to locate Sasuke with his sensei's freaky crystal ball. Upon arriving, Naruto said, "Yo sensei." The Hokage looked up to see his favorite student. What are you doing here, Naruto?" "I heard about the Uchiha stealing the forbidden scroll, so I came to see if you could help me locate him." The Hokage sighed and said, "I see you've heard about that." Naruto gave him a cheesy smile and said, "Of course, most of the Chunins are running around like idiots, so I decided to ask one what was going on. I don't think they could track him down since it's been quite some time now. I couldn't find him either, but sensei doesn't need to know," thought Naruto. "Now, can you locate Sasuke on that ball, sensei?" Sarutobi gave a nod and motion for Naruto to come and take a closer look. Upon close observation of the crystal ball, Naruto saw an injured Iruka who had a kunai in his right thigh. Sasuke looked like he is about to pass out from chakra exhaustion. In front of both of them was Mizuki, who seemed to be in possession of the scroll. "It seems Mizuki somehow used Sasuke to steal the forbidden scroll," said the Hokage as he was staring at the crystal ball. "I see, so Mizuki was the one who was behind this," thought Naruto. "Well, sensei, I think I will dispose of this traitor," said Naruto before disappearing from the office. Naruto could not understand why that teacher would want to steal such an important scroll from Konoha. Mizuki seemed like a good person when Naruto saw him at the academy. So why would he want to steal the scroll? Naruto flitted from tree to tree at blinding speed that would make Guy proud. Mizuki must have promised Sasuke something valuable to make him steal the scroll. Now what could Mizuki give that Sasuke would want? Sasuke did seem like he was about to pass out, so he must have been trying to learn techniques from the scroll. How naive, Naruto mused. Just some power-hungry shinobi. These fools are plain stupid, he thought in disgust. He hates people that would go to any length, so get power, and the Uchiha, Mizuki seems to be in the same category as those people. When Naruto got there, he saw Mizuki throwing giant shuriken at Iruka, who was unable to move. Iruka closed his eyes thinking that today no one would be able to save him. He waited for his life to drift away, but soon opened his eyes when he heard a clang sound. He saw a cape-wearing figure that had kanji for Phoenix Sannin. He had an elegant nadachi with red blade with no guard in his right hand. The blade was at least 4.5 feet long with 7 inches blue hilt with a seal on it. Black flames were present on the edge of the blade. Iruka was looking at the blade with look of awe. Naruto looked at Mizuki and spat out, "What do you think you are doing with the forbidden scroll, Mizuki?" Mizuki for his part was frightened by Naruto's arrival. He didn't take Naruto coming here into consideration. Uzumaki-sama, what are you doing here? Mizuki asked with innocent voice. He really didn't want to go up against one of the sannin, even if this one was a rookie sannin. He might still be at least a cage-level shinobi. Don't play games, Mizuki. What do you want the scroll for? Naruto retorted coolly. Mizuki, finally finding courage to speak up to Naruto, responded, "Of course you will never know. This scroll contains the most powerful jutsu in Konoha, which makes it forbidden for other shinobi. Whoever wants to be as powerful as the Hokage would yearn for such a thing. Of course you wouldn't need something like this since you got everything handed to you considering you were the Hokage's apprentice." When Mizuki said this, Naruto gripped his sword tighter and gritted his teeth. That dope got trained by the Hokage. How dare they do this to me? Hokage should be begging me to be his apprentice. I am Uchiha and I deserve the power that this fool has. Screamed Sasuke in his mind as he fisted both of his hands hard enough to draw blood. Hokage Tower. Sarutobi was watching everything that was going on in the forest. He knew Naruto would most likely send Mizuki to Ibiki after knowing, but when he just insulted Naruto and the Hokage, he was sure that Mizuki would die today. That fool just dug his own grave. He should have never disrespected Naruto by saying some so low. Said the Hokage out loud. But Naruto, well Mizuki, as a Konoha shinobi I can't let you walk away with something that dangerous. Naruto said a smile. Mizuki had a frown on his face, but that soon turned to a chuckle then a laugh, echoing throughout the forest. It was stopped abruptly when a fist connected with his face, dislocating his jaw and sending him flying back at least 20 feet. Mizuki slowly got on his feet with a bleeding lips and some loose teeth. "Give up, Mizuki, there is no way for you to defeat me," Naruto said softly. Mizuki, seeing no other option, went through his pocket and took out a vial with red liquids. Naruto, narrowing his eyes, said, "And what is that supposed to do?" Mizuki smiled. "I will show you." He then started to drink the substance. After drinking it he staggered back and forth for a few seconds, then let out an inhuman scream. His hands, upper body and his head started bulging and tattoos started to form on his biceps, his forehead and on both his cheeks. His pupils became green and slitted. His eyes became narrow. The tattoos on his forehead looked like arrows and the others looked like slash marks. "Nani?" Everyone present whispered with wide eyes. Mizuki started to chuckle seeing the reactions. "But powerful chakra, my skin and twitching," said Iruka. Sasuke wanted this power, he needed it to reach his ambition. "This power, why the hell am I the only one to be so weak? Damn it." Sasuke screamed inside his mind. Mizuki was staring at Naruto. Now with this power he wasn't scared anymore. He felt like he could demolish anyone in his way. "What's wrong, scared yet?" Naruto scoffed, "Chi, you are still too weak, fool. I will show you weak," shouted Mizuki as he sped toward Naruto with a kunai in hand at jounin speed that surprised Iruka since he knew Mizuki was never this fast. He barely caught sight of him. That thing seemed to give him boost in his speed. Naruto's thoughts were cut short when the kunai came within inches of his face. Using his superior speed, Naruto leapt over Mizuki and delivered a spinning kick to the side of Mizuki's head, sending him flying. "Told you. Even with this power boost you are still weak," Naruto informed. His next sets of words were directed at Iruka and Sasuke, "You two move away from there." Iruka then moved over to Sasuke and helped him move farther from the fight. "Well Mizuki, you should consider yourself lucky to see this next technique that will claim your life," Naruto stated as he stabbed his sword in the ground directed toward Mizuki. "Dejeki no Fenikusu, Flaming Phoenix Strike," shouted Naruto. What if Naruto able to summon Phoenix? Thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.